Tonight on the Black Channel, we're going to have a conversation here about where white supremacy went wrong. I mean, it went wrong on so many different levels here, but boy, I'm telling you, the worst thing that happened to them was being given power. And Nick Fuentes is giving everyone another example of this lately. If you hadn't seen this, this is just something else for you here to go ahead and take in. For the white supremacists, this is your dude, right?
I have my brand new USA quarter zip. This is very high quality. US flag on the side. And then we have the embroidered USA logo right here. You can zip it all the way up. You can zip it all the way down. Maybe if you're in like a tropical climate, you get a little warm. This is the perfect fit. It's a great conversation starter. People are going to say, wow, I love that quarter zip. Where'd you get it? And you could tell them I got it on this island. They were giving them away before the feds showed up. We've sold over 1,000 of these already. They've only been here, I think, for a few days. We already sold over 1,000 of them. It's my #1 bestseller for the year so far. People love them. I have my brand new US.
I thought he was debanked. Very clearly, that was grossly overstated. For all the white supremacists out there, if you want to know why it is that you are destined to lose, you just always lose, it's because of stupid things like this. You are entirely too mentally and emotionally incapable of realizing when you are snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Every time that you make one step forward, you'll take 4 steps back. Because you are emotionally retarded. You are just completely infantilized. And instead of you making smart moves, instead of you being strategic and making smart moves, you instead start showing your complete lack of maturity and development. You turn back into the Fred Flintstone Neanderthals that you are. And then you start thinking that trolling is cool. And the problem is because you're so far on the outside that you start becoming more outlandish and more egregious, and you keep telling yourselves that there is no stop pedal, there is no brake pedal. You just keep going. And there's the issue. You see, that is the very opposite of discipline. You completely lose the message discipline. You all are very good for trolling, you're very good for sabotage, you're very good for reading, you're very good for that, but you are horrific for long-term planning. You're not bad, you're horrible. And as a result, you all also have this cultish fixation with power, not empowerment. You don't focus on empowerment. You focus on power. On barbarian Neanderthal terms, that's the only thing that you understand. And as a result, it's only a matter of time before you recede back into your barbarism. And when you do, you just lose all focus and everything goes down with it. And there goes all the progress that you made before and any of the progress you could hope to make. So right now, basically, the worst thing that happened to you was empowering you. Well, giving you power. That was the worst thing that happened to you, because now the pendulum is swung. And when the pendulum swings back the other way, you're probably going to be going extinct. It was ridiculous. It was stupid. You could have made some real inroads and made some real progress. You could have done that, but you simply could not get out of your own way. And so this is where you end up at. Now, if you'll all remember, I told you all last year when Candace Owens attempted to re-legitimize Nick Fuentes, I told you then it was going to blow up in her face. Did I call it, or did I call it? Damn! I told you all right then, I'm not worried about a damn thing. The worst thing they could do is give this schizophrenic clown any oxygen at all. How'd that work out for her? Tucker Carlson came right up behind her. I told everybody, oh, this ends unwell because Nick Fuentes is angry at all these conservatives. And furthermore, he's the drama queen. Some folks say he's LGBT. He's a drama queen, and that he's going to figure that there's more power to be had, more power, not empowerment, power to be had, starting a beef with the quote unquote establishment Republicans than working with any of them. I predicted then, I said, this is how this is going to play out. And he's like Donald Trump times 3. Anybody who tries to cozy up to him, he's going to have one good interview with you. And then as soon as he walks out the door, he's going to attack you and say that you're the phony conservatives and he's the real thing. Did I call it or did I call it? See, what has become now is become a fight among these people for chasing clout, for chasing notoriety. That's what it's become. It's become that. And you can see it in their personalities. So when it's time for them to get cohesive, the first thing they start doing is purity tests, because purity tests are how you disqualify other people in your group. Purity tests are how you disqualify them. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't have purity tests, because to a certain extent, you certainly should check documentation and paperwork. You damn sure need to do that. And we'll be getting to that here in just a few moments, too, on the Black channel, by the way. But all the folks who were repping Nick Fuentes before, it's like, yeah, bad idea. Oh, this doesn't end well for you. Bad idea. Because now you're going to find yourselves having to defend this stuff. And remember, if you say anything critical about him, no matter how heinous what he said, he's going to attack you. So you are stuck literally between the little moist devil and the deep blue-eyed sea. So you can't say anything, because if you do, he's worse than Trump. If you do anything other than talk about how great he is for joking about Jeffrey Epstein, if we dare say it's joking, why, he's going to attack you for it. That's the way that goes. He'll be attacking you. So a lot of folks are about to learn some things here, things that I told them from the beginning. This is what white supremacy has been reduced to. Richard Spencer was an epic troll. Everything was about getting clicks, mentions, shares, and attention on social media. And now you've got their newest shock jock mascot here, and this is all he can do. Tell me, what part of this is supposed to unite the right, if you will? What part of this is supposed to coalesce power among the group? What part of this does this? It's certainly chasing attention for him, but how do you galvanize around this? That everyone's a bunch of 30-something-year-old juvenile delinquents? That's what you are offering? That's your contribution? That everyone's going to be sitting around trolling like high schoolers on TikTok? This is your strategist? This is your strategist. You're going to get something productive and empowering out of this social media graffiti? Jason, you ain't worried about them. You need to be worried. I ain't got to worry about a damn thing. This is the caliber of their operatives. They're not geniuses. They never have been. They are the dumbest and densest. There's a reason that they've never shown up in the new black media. They certainly would never dare to trespass over here. They all know who the black authority is. They all know Don't even try it. But what they have done is make sure they've gone too damn far off the deep end. This is where they end up messing up at. Instead of recognizing that the 2024 election was simply a stay of execution, rather than recognizing the 2024 presidential election for what it was, a stay of execution, it was not a commutation of your sentence. It was a stay of execution. And rather than recognize that for what it was, they instead started going off on some heroin-induced drug binge, telling themselves that they were now the masters of their fate. And as soon as they got in power, they immediately forgot what they were supposed to be doing and then immediately started going at each other hammer and tong. If they had been smart, which they are not, they never have been, they never will be, which is why it will not work. But had they been intelligent, what they would have done when they got back into the White House and they had the Senate and the Congress, what the big beautiful bill would have done was the big beautiful bill would have defanged and declawed attorney generals and district attorneys across the country. Now, that's what it would have done. But remember, these are the dumbest, most immature ass idiots in the room. So you see, of course, such a simple thing that should have been done from the beginning, they didn't even bother to do, because you see, they only say back the badge when they are in power. As soon as they got kicked out of power and the police came after them, they automatically became anti-FBI, anti-police, anti-attorney generals, anti-district attorneys. All of a sudden, they hated district attorneys. As soon as they got back in power, we love the FBI, we love the district attorneys. And it became that. And what it demonstrates is they didn't learn a damn thing. They learned absolutely nothing. You put them back in power and they showed how inept and idiotic they will be from the very beginning. If you don't like Letitia James, how you fix her little red wagon is with legislation. And when Trump got back into office, he actually had the power to enact legislation. But he was too stupid and the people around him were too dumb to do it. When that was the most obvious step for them to take. If you want to deal with Letitia James, you need legislation. They immediately got back in there and ignored any legislation and started passing around the meth to each other and pretending that you were going to use the Federal Housing Authority to jam up Letitia James. Rather than give yourselves powers to go after the one group you didn't want to because you've designated them to be the white supremacist foot soldiers to go after black folk, now it's time for you to rein them in. And you're saying, wait. If we make a law, though, it won't just apply to Letitia. It'll apply to all of our white supremacist foot soldiers like down there in Florida and Mississippi. So, yeah, we can't do that. Well, this is stupid and short-sighted. Weren't you just pitching and moaning about her 16 months ago? Well, yeah. But, you know, we got to look out for the Ku Klux Klan foot soldiers down there. It's like, okay, just remember she's going to be sitting right there. And she will be waiting for you when you get out of office.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
So just understand, in 3 years, they will all be sitting back crying and moaning again when these folks come after them, and they'll have no one but themselves to blame because, hey, dude, you were in office. Why was this not put in the big ugly bill? Why wasn't this put there? Oh, we want to go ahead and rig things so the kids can make some money. All right, well, I hope they enjoy it, and I hope they can keep the fuzz off of them because there's nothing protecting them. There isn't anything protecting them. Hey, folks, they should have changed the laws for social media. They didn't do that either. Which means that you are gambling that Elon Musk is A, going to continue his current white supremacist ideology, when in reality that man only does what's best for business, and B, you're going to hope that Twitter remains worth him keeping it and that he won't sell it to somebody else because he needs the money. They put all of their eggs in one damn basket. When it comes to television, they put all of their eggs in Fox News. When it comes to the internet, they put all of their eggs on Twitter, which is what makes them so damn easy to knock off. If you can neutralize Fox News, you have won by light years. The internet's already neutralized television. Well, you got Twitter, and that's about it. And instead of making sure that what happened in 2019 and 2020, where the social media sites are weaponized against you, cannot happen again because you've made legislation, instead what you did was you left the hen house unguarded, and now you're just resorting to social media trolling. Case in point, we covered this last night, but I want to cover this here again for you all. For those who are not aware, I want to show you just how stupid and idiotic their dummy idiot operatives are. Now, Bakari Sellers, our good friend Bakari Sellers, he posted that I need white evangelicals and black Trump supporters to please come to the front and defend this racism. 1.9 million interactions on impressions on Twitter. So a lot of folks saw this. Then came this dumbass right here. And this is basically what they are reduced to. When I talk about idiotic, incompetent, numbskulls, stupid individuals who wish to be operatives, this is the best they could do. Fake news. I mean, it's literally from Trump's Truth Social account. Fake news. Is this real? Now, please understand, Brother Neely Fuller always tells about time-wasting trolls. So, of course, individuals like this will just jump up and lie because, remember, their idea is that they're going to stall you. Let this get around long enough. People really only read cursory things. See if you can just stall long enough. Just put up something resembling a half-assed response and just hope it sticks for a little bit. So, he said this nonsense and then just simply putting icing on the stupid cake. Grok, is this real? Now, this is the reason that I shared this with you all. Take a look at the response that Elon Musk's Grok gives. The screenshot shows a fabricated X post.
What?
No, that's a screenshot from Truth Social. And yet, look what Grok is telling you. That it's a fabricated X post, i.e. Twitter. Trump did not post that on X. However, reports from the New York Times and others confirm he shared a similar AI video depicting the Obamas as apes on Truth Social today. It's being widely criticized as racist. To which he comes back and says, is it on his Truth Social account or not? Is it on his Truth Social account or not? Can you verify if it ever was? Crazy, I asked the same question like 3 minutes ago, and you said there were no confirmation of it being real, and it's not on his Truth Social account. To which someone here just said, why don't you stop with the Grok stuff and do some effing research? And he shall post a screen capture of simple Google results, all of them showing the same thing. And then take a look at what Grok says right after that. Based on recent reports from New York Times and CNN, Trump did share a video on Truth Social late February 5th, 2026, depicting the Obamas as apes in a meme context. The White House called it an internet meme and dismissed outrage. Critics label it racist. I want to let you all know something here. I have never backed down in the AI era. As a matter of fact, the AI so-called era has made us look more brilliant than ever because it's made individuals like this, the white supremacists, not just stupid. They've now become incredibly even lazier intellectually than they were before. Now they're handing you the ability to hoe slap them and mock them. They're just giving it to you here. I would say the jokes write themselves, but these guys are writing the jokes and then handing you the notepad. All you got to do is repeat it. People, Grok is not a source. What? AI overview on Google is not a source. Search results can lead you to a source, but AI is not a source, and Grok damn sure ain't a source. And as you just saw here, Grok went from telling you, nope, they ain't nowhere, to saying, actually, this is exactly where it came from. Now, why is it that Grok didn't say this the very first time? Why didn't Grok say this the very first time? The dude had to get clowned by other folk and then start backing down. Why didn't Grok just clown him the first time? Because what it shows here is the screenshot shows a fabricated X post instead of saying the screenshot is from Truth Social. Yeah, it sounds like Elon Musk has programmed Grok to defend Trump because he needs as much help as he can get. He needs as much help as he can get. So, folks, Jason, you ain't scared of AI. Why would I be? I know the idiots and morons programming it. I've seen what it can do. If it was just this fountainhead of accurate information expeditiously plopped in your lap, I would be citing it. But I don't, because it's too flawed, which is what a long language model is. It's not artificial intelligence, it's a filter. But the filter is flawed, and if, depending on who's programming it, the filter lies. And so if you're relying on the filter, you're going to look like an incompetent liar too when someone can come right up behind you and debunk you in real time. That ain't so great. Not so great. However, what it does show you here is that this is what they are reduced to. They are reduced to simple-minded, childish, Neanderthal, pre-kindergarten trolling and calling that a strategy. Donald Trump needs to be rallying the damn troops. He needs to be gathering everyone together to hold on to the little power that he's got. Because one big, beautiful bill is not gonna save you. You are already becoming about as popular as COVID. They're losing state elections all over the damn place. And rather than him rallying the troops and shoring up the base, he's sitting up here flipping out on fentanyl in the middle of the damn night, posting white supremacist memes that won't do anything except remind people of how much they hate him. And then his jackass followers in the cult don't have the good damn sense to say, hey, this is not what we need. This is not a winning strategy. This is what they're stuck doing. This is what their leaders are doing. They're going full Epstein in blatant acts of desperation. If you all agree with what we're saying here tonight, give me the black fist emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 3,400 people in here live right now, but folks are not liking the program. Yes, I'm aware there's a certain football game on today, but I have always broadcast on these days. It will never change. The real ones ain't sitting in front of a television. Because Louis Farrakhan once said that he would buy a limousine when we built one. I'll get geeked about the Super Bowl when we running it. I'll get geeked about it then. But until then, we gonna be right here. So please understand, the real ones are here. And I recognize that. However, speaking about the Super Bowl, speaking about that, well, you know, the Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl, and this is a video that's supposed to air during halftime. Shout out Jay-Z from the Epstein files.
Nigga, what?
I'll have a few comments about that in a moment for Jay-Z and the Epstein files. But for those of you who had not seen this commercial, this is what Mr. Kraft would like you all to know on at halftime.
Loser.
Dude.
Did you see that? Should we tell him? So bad.
Oh, bro, look at him. Oh my gosh.
It's not funny. Stop.
Do not listen to that.
Thank you, man.
I know how it feels. Nah. They're not worth it, bro.
Actually, from my side of the tracks, they might be worth it there, because that's how you make sure they don't touch your stuff again. They can say what they want to say. See, this is how I was raised. They can say whatever they want to say, but your rights end at touching my belongings. You put your hands on my belongings, I ain't got nothing else to say to you. I'm going to say something else, but it's not going to be with words. You touched the wrong thing. And now we're just going to make an example of you. You touched the wrong damn thing, and now we're going to make an example out of you. That's how you stop people from doing stuff like that, is you make an example out of them. Now, I might not be at a certain level of criticism for Mr. Kraft's video here. I get it. He certainly knew better than to imply that black folk would have anything to do with such a thing. It would be idiotic. It would be outlandish. Of course it would be. Certainly. However, like I say, it's not the flex he thinks it is. It's got a level of tone deafness to it there. It's just too on the nose. It is entirely too on the nose, which is the real issue with it. It's just too on the nose. So it would have been better. Like I say, if you want to make a statement, please don't be too on the nose about it. That's what this was. Just completely on the nose. Completely on the nose. They would have been better off doing some consulting for this. They would have been better off doing some consulting for this, because here's our point here. What they are acknowledging is that we are the standard bearers of justice. We are the standard bearers of resistance and justice, as we've always been. And that is all fine and good and everything, but you know what, Mr. Kraft? We could certainly use some of that solidarity at the Supreme Court when one of your men, Ed Blum, has been on a campaign against us now for the better part of the last decade or two. You know, Mr. Kraft, it costs a few $1 million to put up a Super Bowl advertisement. It costs a few $1 million to do that. You know, if we had some of that backing legally and Ed Blum got ho-slapped at the Supreme Court, that would go a very long way toward, getting some of this gold you talking about. That would do a lot. That really, really would, because you making hella money off of black men. You're making hella money off of them. Okay, but out here on this street, we getting a whole lot more than folks just putting unkind sticky notes on a backpack. We're getting a whole lot more than that. So, Mr. Kraft, quite frankly here, sir, we ain't up for symbolic gestures, man. Because what Ed Blum and his friends are doing, that ain't symbolic. That's not symbolic. That's literal. That's a literal thing. So while y'all are watching the Super Bowl and whatnot, and while that's going on, I just thought I would remind you here that, this is what's going on with them. They got billions of dollars, and he found a few $1 million for advertising for a well-produced, slick ad to air during the Super Bowl. I get it. I got it. There's some things missing. There are some things missing. And that needs to be addressed. Because what empowers the white supremacists, please understand here, this is not about just hating. These folks got legislation. Nobody has any legislation targeting Jewish people. None. Zero. As a matter of fact, there's a whole bunch of legislation out there giving preferential treatment, something that we, the foundation, the only oppressed group in America by all other groups systemically, we don't have any legal protections. We don't have the governor of Texas saying that you cannot attack or boycott or otherwise even suggest anything racist against black folk. As a matter of fact, Greg Abbott is white supremacist chief number 1. However, he's very protective of Jewish society. And I'm like, okay, where's Jewish society to say, wait, Governor Abbott, no, that's not enough. What you have done to the least of these, my black brethren, you have also done to me. I couldn't help but notice y'all aren't saying that. You're not telling Governor Ron DeSantis, excuse me, Ronnie, it's all great that you love Israel and everything. The check from Miriam Adelson cleared the bank for you, obviously. Congratulations. But you're a naked white supremacist against black folk, and we can't have that. We're not going to tolerate that. The Jewish lobby, the Jewish delegation is not going to tolerate that. So you have to get your act all the way clean. Nobody is saying that part. And that's the part that needs to be said. That's the part that needs to be said. So if you want to know my thoughts about the Super Bowl, well, I've seen who one of the participants of the Super Bowl is doing here. I've seen some of that, and that's a thing that's occurring. However, on top of that, though, folks, that gives me a good segue. That gives me a good segue into something here, because there are other parts of this. There are other parts of this, and maybe we can do something. Maybe we can learn something here. I don't know. But I would like to see a bit more done, because we don't have that. I'd like to see a bit more done because we don't have it. There's an article that came out here just a couple of days ago, and it really does make a point here. It really, really does. In context of a couple of things, because there's a lesson I want us to learn. There's a lesson I want us to learn, and here's the lesson here. Black banned from flyers for FAMU College of Law. Black History Month student says, This is what they're doing there, without folks letting you know what in the world's happening.
I'm News 6's Tylisa Hampton. For the last 2 years, Florida's public universities have been banned by state law from using tax dollars for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. I spoke with a student with a historically black university. She says that there's been a change to how they celebrate Black History Month.
Now, is Ron DeSantis saying that you can't say Jewish? Is Ron DeSantis telling folk that you can't say Jewish? Now, if he's saying that, well, I guess he's being consistent. I'm just wondering, by the way, y'all, is he telling them you can't say Jewish?
What were some of those words that you were having pushback on?
So it was black was one of them, affirmative action I heard about, and then women as well.
It's those words Aaliyah Stewart in her final year at Florida A&M College of Law says she was told couldn't be broadcast or published as she makes flyers for her organization, Black Law Student Association.
We couldn't use the word black in Black History Month. We needed to abbreviate it.
I took those concerns to the university. They replied with this statement.
In part saying Florida A&M University has consistently been in full compliance with Senate Bill 266 and Board of Governors Regulation 9.016. We support and have implemented the policy direction established by the governor, the legislator, and the Board of Governors as it relates to DEI and consistent with related federal court rulings.
I just don't want us to be censored this way. I mean, not being able to use the word black, women, it's very frustrating.
For students like Aaliyah, the effect of the law's application is chilling.
Because we're just trying to promote, the core mission statement that our school has is to promote diversity and inclusion for everybody. So it's very frustrating.
And I did reach out to the university again to detail what exactly could not be said, but I'm still waiting to hear back on that. Now, Aaliyah did say that they're still waiting on a Black History Month flyer to get approved. She says she chose not to abbreviate that one, but she has not heard back from campus.
And I'm asking a very simple question.
Aaliyah Stewart in her final year.
I'm wondering here, by the way, so are they saying that you can't say Jewish also? Is Ron DeSantis going to say, by the way, you can't say Jewish either? I bring this up because it shouldn't be lost on you that we're talking about the School of Law. I'm wondering if Mr. Robert Kraft is going to give us some backup down there in Florida. But please understand what my point here is. My point is that this is the School of Law. This is an area where we have been sorely lacking. By the way, folks, not liking the program here tonight, so I got a lot of Super Bowl hits, so I'll wrap up here in just a moment. But this is what their School of Law is doing there. And as you all know, we are sorely, woefully inadequate for legal representation. And so it shouldn't surprise you that they are directly attacking your law students and your would-be law students. Don't forget that. They're directly going after them, and particularly they're going after the young. And Mr. Kraft isn't showing us where we got any backups, so I just thought I would acknowledge that because there are other folks who do understand. You see, there are some other folks out there that they do understand, and things are radically different over there for them because they got serious about what needs to be done. They got serious about what needs to be done, so they got to work on it. That's the real point about it. Case in point, this story here that I have posted from everybody's favorite, least favorite, Jewish white supremacist, Laura Loomer. Well, Laura Loomer is always trolling the Muslims. The difference is the Muslims got their paper together. They got their legal weight up. And take a look at what happened to Laura Loomer. they're not on the internet going back and forth with her. They saying, you know what, we gonna pat them pockets down and we gonna rain on your parade. And as you see, CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, Florida, welcomes court order requiring Laura Loomer to complete settlement payments to CARE. What? Damn! So they were telling her that they've won a settlement against her, and she thought she was going to push back on it, but it didn't work out that way. This is from their website here. The national headquarters and Florida chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization, today welcomed a ruling by a federal judge ordering Laura Loomer and Illuminate Media to complete their remaining monthly settlement payments to CARE, which she began making in 2023. What? Damn! What? Oh yeah, folks, she's been making payments to them for the last 2 years. Oh yes, folks, it's like what Eazy-E said. I hope that the fans understand when you talk about slaying me, the same tweets that you're making is paying me. So she can get online and talk. She having to break bread to them every month. Now, this didn't make the headlines, now did it? Hey, folks, tell me the headlines that this made. That CARE took her to court and won, and now she's been having to pay them ever since. The payments were mandated by a settlement reached after her failed 2022 lawsuit falsely accusing CARE forced Twitter to ban her from their social media platform. In the wake of Governor Ron DeSantis' unconstitutional and defamatory proclamation smearing CARE as a terrorist group last year, Loomer filed a motion with a federal court asking for permission to withhold her remaining payments to CARE. In other words, she told the federal court that, well, they've been declared a terrorist organization, so we shouldn't have to pay them because they're a terrorist organization. According to who? Ron DeSantis. A court has now rejected her request. In 2022, the U.S. Court of Appeals affirmed a $125,000 judgment. Damn! Oh man, I feel like Lawrence Fishburne in John Wick. Damn! Load up the van. We're going to Applebee's. $125,000. Damn! Load up the Tahoe. We're going to TGI Fridays. And then we're going to stop at Disney World. With $125,000. Geez, she got to break off. Man, she better start an OnlyFans and start twerking so she can pay this $125,000 off, y'all. In her case, she wouldn't have to shake her bony rump. She could just shake her. She could shake her butt cheeks or her face cheeks. What? Damn! What? Damn! Yeah, y'all. She can shake her bony butt cheeks, but all the BBL fluid is in her face cheeks, so she can shake either end. She could swing either end. She could clap either end. So in 2022, the U.S. Court of Appeals affirmed a $125,000 judgment on behalf of CARE and its Florida chapter, CARE Florida, against Laura Loomer and Illuminate Media for attorney's fees and costs related to Loomer and Illuminate's failed lawsuit alleging CARE forced Twitter to ban her from the social media platform. In 2019, a federal district court dismissed both CARE and CARE Florida from Loomer's nonsensical lawsuit. Judge Rodolfo A. Ruiz II said Loomer owed $123,761.65 to CARE and its Florida chapter, plus $661.72 in costs. The United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit ruled, quote, after 3 appeals to our court, this matter should be at an end. As part of a settlement reached in 2023 to address her outstanding debt, CARE agreed to let Loomer pay a total of $73,000 to CARE in monthly installments, among other terms. So they offered to give her a break on how much she had to pay them. And then she tried to double back to the court and say, can y'all just let me out of this on GP? And the court said,
oh, please.
So y'all, this is CARE. This is how the papered up Muslims deal with it. They say it's like, okay, girl, we gonna give you the work. And if you didn't know, she can sit on Twitter and troll all she wants to. But did you know that every month she got to stroke a check? She has to stroke a check to the Muslims. So if you want to know where some of CARE's funding is coming from, it might come from Dubai, it might come from Nation of Islam, it might come from Saudi Arabia, but it's also coming from Laura Loomer. And by the way, if you didn't notice, the Adelsons and none of the rest of the Zionist lobby, none of them are helping pay this for her. Now, you know they got billions, and none of them are even handing her 125 G's to get her up out of this. They told her, baby, you better hit the damn track and shake it till you make it. We can't give you nothing for this. She talks about going to the White House and everything else. Ain't nobody offered her a slim nickel to get this damn judgment up off of her. So yeah, for those of you who didn't know, yeah, she owed him folk $100,000. And she's been making payments now for 2 years. Or at least she should have been making payments for 2 years. She's been making payments since 2023. And the media didn't say anything, and no one was publicizing this or nothing. Nobody was saying anything. And she been trolling the Muslims from the sun going up to the sun going down, and you wonder why they're not angry. They're like, dude, she breaking us off every month. She breaking us off straight cash money every month. Every month she got to pay us. Every month. And the amount just keep going up. So she better hurry up and pay this damn thing, 'cause it's like a damn credit card. It's like a damn credit card, man. Every time she turn around, it's getting worse. And what I'm saying is, so that's why Ron DeSatan wants to attack your children at the law school for the few who are there. Because once again, this is a damning commentary on our so-called black legal class. This is a damning commentary on them. There's only so much complaining that I can do with these other folks because we don't have a legal class that is serious about dealing with this. When most black females get a law degree, they either want to sit up here and go whore themselves to the Democrat Party because they're not very good, or if they are good, they go look for Zaddy's law firm and away they go, but they're not doing nothing over here. For the black men, they want to sit up here and go buy a damn Bentley Bentayga and then pull up like a big shot at the Westin. But they're not sitting up here taking down the white supremacists. They're not doing that. So we end up having to look to the Institute for Justice or some charity organization set up by white people. But we don't have one that's serving our interests here. Now, you don't get to do Jewish people like that. Jewish people got representation. Even if she loses in court, she got somebody to represent her. Otherwise, this would bankrupt her. You do know that Laura Loomer has filed a lawsuit against Bill Maher. What? For those of you who didn't know, she filed one against him. Remember, she's in court about him. She's in court about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she was talking in this lawsuit about Bill Maher. So I'm just saying, wow, all these lawsuits, where's she getting the money from for that, man? She doesn't have any money to pay off these judgments, but she's got money and representation to go to federal court for these bull jive ass lawsuits she wants to file. And I'm just looking around saying, I'll be damned. Where's that over here? We should been whatever she got set up. We supposed to been had it over here, minus the losing all the time part, minus that part. A whole lot of things would get done and get changed if it was serious on this order and on this magnitude. There's a whole bunch of folks that would not be able to move around, much less breathe, if we were serious about that, because this is a good look for the Muslims, but I'll be damned. It's a whole bunch of folks out there that we should have been had on the docket and been had them bankrupted. It's a whole bunch of them. No, we don't have any Divine Nine support. The Divine Nine is silent. The only place that they get any clout or recognition is among their damn selves. But then again, they're looking for a white politician or a white law firm to kiss their asses. What they're not doing is making anything happen on this damn street. Now, that's what they're not doing. So this is a reminder for you all that it's going to be up to you and me and us and we, the civil rights generation and the boule and all the butt-kissing buck dancers. They're not going to law school to serve the people. They're going to law school to serve massa. Well, if you want to get hired to this white law firm here, you got to have. They're not going there with the spirit of Thurgood Marshall. They're not going there with the spirit of Johnny Cochran. They're not going there for that. That is the least of their concerns. They are completely unconcerned with that. As a matter of fact, I will go beyond that. Not only are they unconcerned, they are openly hostile. Jasmine Crockett with her law degree. Hakeem Spit Jeffries with his law degree. And I can go down the damn list. There's a bunch of damn black lawyers in Congress and the Senate, and they are summarily worthless. Not only are they worthless, they are openly hostile to us. They are openly hostile to us and our interests. They are organized. Yeah, they're organized against us. Barack Hussein Obama and his wife. What? Oh, need I remind you? President of the Harvard Law Review. Tell me one lawsuit that Barack Obama filed in our interest. Community organizer. Dude, you got a big ass law degree. President of the Harvard Law Review, name one lawsuit that Barack Hussein Obama filed in our interest. He was eminently qualified to do so. Name one that he did. Oh man, the Obama butt kissers don't like questions like that being answered. They don't like those kind of questions being asked because you really don't have an excuse now because you can't respect him, much less admire him, knowing that, by the way, he did president of the Harvard Law Review for how damn long? The only thing he wanted to do was run for office. Did he ever use that law degree for our benefit? You know, a community organizer with them kind of credentials, what did he do? And another question is his wife, who allegedly was smarter than him and better than him, which is why to this day she's resentful that he leapfrogged her in relevance and notoriety and status. By the way, what lawsuits did she file? Who did she represent? And I will go further, people. They're not in office anymore. In case you didn't notice, they're not in office anymore. There's nothing preventing them from acting in our interests now. There's nothing stopping them now. Alan Dershowitz is in his 80s. Alan Dershowitz is in his 80s and he is still representing Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files from the grave. And you expect me to be some ass-kissing clown like you and sit up here and talk about defending Barack Obama when I'll be damned, him and his mammy wife. You both have the ability to do something. By the way, for all you Obama ass kissers, there's a reason that y'all just look stupid today, and we are never going to forget and never stop giving you the work because you were so pathetic that you told us he'll do something when he gets elected. He can't do nothing for us before he get elected. And he got elected and was helping the white supremacists. Well, he just playing the game, brother. He'll do something when he gets re-elected. And then he got re-elected and he was back at the white supremacists even more, running interference for George Zimmerman and Daniel Pantaleo and all the other white supremacists, running interference for all of them, murdering black folk in the streets. The Obama butt kissers still did not want to let it go, rolling the bowling ball, fat-faced donut smuggling Martin. None of them wanted to stop their lying. Well, he'll do something after he leaves office.
Nigga, what?
Okay, folks, tell me what he's done after he's left office, because I just gave you his credentials. You know, he's a lawyer. There's nothing preventing him from filing on our behalves now. Barack Obama is a constitutional scholar. Remember, they never wanted to let you forget that. Well, then now that you are no longer president and you got nothing but time on your hands, if you actually wanted to resolve and fix that messed up legacy of yours, Barry, what you would be doing is filing motions and filing a lawsuit and being at the United Nations to talk about the requirement of our reparations. You would continue what Malcolm X started and Johnny Cochran continued, to put the United States on trial. And as a former president and president of the United States and president of the Harvard Law Review and so-called alleged constitutional scholar, you would be eminently qualified to be able to do so. You would be eminently qualified to be able to do so if you were. But you're not doing anything, even though you've got all the firepower and all the resources and all the ability to do that. There's the issue there. So to anybody who wonders, well, Jason, what do you expect him to do? He can do that. He can do that. There's nothing stopping him from it. He could do that now, or his wife could do it. But why aren't they? Yeah, it becomes impossible to defend those folk after that, now isn't it? Well, I gotta tell y'all here, it doesn't help. It does not help. It doesn't help us here, because you have to understand Barack Obama is the enemy. He works for the bad guys because he is one of the bad guys. He is one of them. He is not one of us. He works for them. He is an agent of their side. He is against us. Which is why it is imperative that we are able to stick together for ourselves. There's a reason for that. It's imperative that we have to make this happen, because understand something. When we organize an event like this, when we get some white supremacists hemmed up in court, when we get judgments against them, that's going to be a tidal wave moment. We got to make that happen. I know I've been rough on cats like Benjamin Crump, but you know, if it seems I've gone a little softer on him in recent years, I will say one thing: at least Benjamin is trying to do something. He's not the most qualified individual. He In the words of Winston Churchill, he is a humble man who has much to be humble about. A modest man who has much to be modest about. But he's doing something. Hell of a whole lot more than I can say for the ambulance chasers in the funeral business that Jamie Foxx portrays in the movies. Hell of a lot more than I can say for them. Hell of a lot more than I can say for them old niggas that Roland Martin sitting up here thinking that he's regaling us about. They ain't doing a damn thing. I count your effectiveness in lawsuits and verdicts. I don't count you for sitting up here trying to give me some damn history lesson. Let's get up in these courts and make some history. Otherwise, get your old wrinkled ass out my face. If you're not up in them courtrooms making history, you ain't got a damn thing to talk about history to me about. These Muslims are over here making history. Laura Loomer is angry, and then they just gave her 125,000 reasons to be mad as hell even more. They're like, oh, you think you mad now when the judge finished swinging his gavel? Oh, you about to be $125,000 angrier. I mean, you thought you was as mad as you could be, but oh, when Judge Wapner finished swinging his hammer, oh, you're going to be even madder than you came. And when we have moments like that against Ron DeSantis and against the other white supremacist demagogues, when we have moments like that against them, that's what sends shockwaves around the world when you see that kind of thing occur. But I just wanted to let you all know that, by the way, there are things that are missing here. There are things that have been missing. And it's been a critical, crucial thing for us to not have. So on the one hand, you can be upset and mad about certain things, and I understand that. But on the other hand here, I just thought you should know. These folks out here and what they doing, well, they got you watching football games like an idiot. This is a moment here where you're supposed to show your own code, but by the same token, just please understand there's a reason why those of us who are fully dialed in and locked in, there's a reason why we're not missing it. You see the thistle-wearing, banjo-playing, buck-dancing, plantation jubilee pickaninnies sit up here and get distracted. It's always been that way. They have always been easily distracted because they're not focused in the first damn place, which is why I put up this picture from last night. This is what it's going to be. Just understand, we're the ones who do the heavy lifting and make the societal change. And then after these other folk here, you know, I get messages from people and whatnot, folks who ain't dialed in, you never heard anything. That's one of those things we're going to be looking at here. See, there was a reason why we had to make sure that folks were on code, because you see, it doesn't matter to me. You can be out there in Sacramento, California, and we're going to say, okay, before we come running anybody's rescue, let me check this paperwork right quick. Have you been on code? There's a whole lot of folks who don't like that being a requirement that we check to make sure they're on. Have you been on code first? Or do you got scandalous paperwork? Stephon Clark. What? Damn! What? Damn! There's a whole lot of folks don't like that. Whole lot of folks don't like that, but that's going to be an essential thing for us to be doing here, folks. When we talk about verifying the lineage, I need you all to understand part of verifying that lineage is we got to verify who's on code also. That is going to be an essential part of verifying the lineage is, by the way, who's on code. Hey, dude, before you come over here trying to act like we owe you something, have you been on code? Gonna be a whole bunch of folk jumping up out of the soil from nowhere. Folk you never seen, never heard. Soon as you start racking up a few W's, all of a sudden here come a bunch. I've been with you the whole time. Who knows this nigga? Whose man is this? Hey, bro, I went to your timeline. I see nothing but back-to-back football posts. Whose man's is this? Who can vouch for you? Because nobody knows you, man. Where the hell you been? You 50, 60 years old. And nobody can vouch for you. You got no evidence whatsoever. See, we're not the black civil rights generation. That ain't us. We got paperwork on everybody now. All we got to do is just say, hey, show us your damn record. Ain't nothing there. No, you ain't gonna just jump up out of nowhere. Oh, I've been out here and whatnot. It's like, yeah, let me check through the files. Oh, smoking weed, chasing blondes, bull jiving, watching football every damn week. He knows more PlayStation games than he knows black heroes. It's like, okay, dude, you ain't fooling nobody. That's the problem right there. All y'all pro-blacks, y'all don't know about unity. Okay. It's always somebody who has never been with us think they gonna sit up here and grift and scam something, and then first thing out their mouth is unity. Someone who has never been unified with us, they've always been off doing quote-unquote their own thing, and then all of a sudden they want to be with us. Ain't that amazing? So for you and me and us and we, this is a bellwether moment. I want us to recognize where we're at here. The white supremacists are completely disorganized. They've been disorganized. The only thing that unites them is white supremacy. And what you've seen is that if you give them power, that's where it stops. The only reason they're making any progress at the state level is because there hasn't been an organized response to it. There has not been an organized response to it. So for most of us here, that's what we're going to have to be about. When folks ask about what can you do, I had a lady call up last night. The first thing you can do is be on code with each other about our purpose and what we are about. What are our principles? What are we honoring? First, you have to be on code about that. The next thing you have to do is be on code about being empowered. They hate you because you are black, but they are able to victimize you because you are poor. So we have got to have our game plan together as individuals. All of this going year after year with the po mouth about ain't got this and ain't got that. That's, as you can tell, that's not really gonna fly. These other folks that got their chips stacked up and cobbled together, and then year after year, we can't just keep showing up year after year talking about what you don't have. Well, I'm working on it when, it's hard on me. Nick Fuentes has been sitting up here cobbling together money behind the scenes. Remember, he was bragging. He was bragging a little while ago about talking about that one of the sponsors for, Mark Levin. He was bragging that one of Mark Levin's sponsors came to him and said, hey, why don't we go ahead and put together a contract for you? Nick was bragging about that. These other folks over here, they ain't looking at 5 figures or 6 figures. These people over here are trying to put together 7 and 8 and 9 figures. Would it be nice if the folk who had a head start in black society had done something about it? Yeah, that would be real nice. We can't wait on them to do anything. You got to write them off because they are lost causes. They're lost causes. But that's why it's going to fall to you and me to do that. But just recognize these folks are showing you where their mentality is at. And he's not the only one. All of them out here are half a hair away from Epstein. You know why? Because this is the reason that they protect this is because this is their way of putting white women back under control. What? I told you all this before. I ain't backed off of it. When you start seeing them using edging language for white females, what are they saying? These underage girls, they sitting up calling them young women, underage women. Ain't that something? They're referring to them as underage women. You see, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to do this because there are no black men involved. The closest one you can name is Jay-Z. That's about the closest you can name. And then he's just a pawn in the damn game. But Jay-Z, you don't have anything. Now, Jay-Z is in the Epstein files. And if you look even deeper, he's in there because they're talking about how Jay-Z basically is there to mislead the black community. So if you take a look in the Epstein files, there's documents in there basically where they're making emails talking about that. So before you get stuck on stupid chasing a island visit that isn't there, no, what's in there about him is about him. Oh, his job is to be the Negro whisperer and, you know, to get black folk to stop talking about Wall Street and talk about all streets and to get black folk out of the streets. Y'all stop with all this rebelling. So those are the folks you're taking a look at right there. Those are the people there, but there aren't any black folk involved in the stuff that's going to get somebody sent to prison. And I've told you all before, I will remind you again, American society believes in mass incarceration right up until it's time to mass incarcerate white people. Then all of a sudden things get real strange and get real weird and get real screwy. And all of a sudden the prosecutors don't know their ass from third base. All of a sudden, I've told you this now for decades, going on decades now. Oh, they always push mass incarceration right up until the moment it's time to mass incarcerate white people. Because with the Epstein files, you should have a whole long frog march of them walking out of the courtroom. You should have white men by the dozens being marched into the courtroom in handcuffs and being marched out in chains. And yet, that's not what you're seeing. You should have courthouses all over the place. That is what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent that because in the 21st century, that would be a bellwether moment. That you look up and you see dozens of white men with money, white men with power, white men with status, dozens of them who are executing the white supremacist credo. They're executing white privilege. Your daughters only have the rights that I say they do. But that's my little girl. No, she's not. She's a underage woman. Because I'm Epstein. I'm Bill Gates. I'm Bill Clinton. I'm white, and I say so. Particularly, I'm a white male, and I say so. Well, now that I'm white and I say so has been directed at white females, now you want to circle the wagons. You want everyone to circle the wagons. Now, they weren't circling the wagons when it was George Zimmerman and Daniel Pantaleo and they weren't circling the wagons then. And I was warning them all along, hey, this is going to get used against you. You are empowering them. And by the way, while we were out there, Jeffrey Epstein was flying them in and out the islands. That's another thing, folks. Do you realize how many people are supposed to be indicted here? Who was flying the Lolita Express? What? Hey, folks, remember Barry Seal and the drug cartels? I talked about this before. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't flying the plane. Who was flying these planes? The planes of all the other folk that he had coming to the island. Who was flying those planes? Aren't they accessories to it? Who was flying the planes? Who was cooking the meals? Who was help arranging these things? By the way, these are in the documents. Hey, folks, these are in the documents. These are things that the prosecutors had already looked at, and they've just basically said, we're just not gonna follow up on it. But I'm not the first one to ask this. Folks have been asking, by the way, who was flying the planes? Who was helping facilitate this? Who are the bankers who were moving all this money around? No investigation? When I tell you that there should be dozens of these men being frog marched into court in handcuffs and shackles, I'm talking about dozens. Can you imagine the shock to the psyche? Can you imagine how devastating to the psyche that would be for them to look up and see that? That's the imagery they're trying to prevent, because they know that that would be the topic of every program we have from here on in. So their goal now is to prevent that from occurring. You think that's minor? People, they live on optics. They live on optics and they live on lying. Marching this many people in there, you can't march in that many. Do y'all realize Epstein knew every damn body? Everyone who constitutes the American political and socioeconomic order, they were all in it with him. So you cannot, after that, you can't make the argument that it's not systemic anymore. You can't march all those people into court and then claim it's that nothing is systemic. You have the whole system under indictment. It becomes impossible to say that it's not white supremacy because all of the principles were white. And you can't say it's not systemic because all of them are the system. Out of all the damning emails he has, the ones talking about, by the way, don't bring no niggas over here. Okay, thank you for confirming. You're white supremacists. You are the system. And it is systemic and it's real. No, they don't want that conversation getting started. Because then you're going to have to talk about all the stuff that we said. And it's like now, once you start pulling that thread, you got to take out the whole thing. The next thing is the rats start snitching on each other. Once you get one, they start snitching on each other. We all know how that goes. Whoever makes the first deal gets the best deal. Now they start snitching on each other. Hey, it wasn't me. It was that dude over there. I love black people. It becomes that. It becomes that. These are not things that happen by accident. They just want you believing it is. So the whole point of us having our act together is that we could have silenced this a whole damn long time ago. It doesn't do us any good not to have any facilities for it. These people are actually in a weaker position than they've been, but it doesn't matter how weak they are if you're even more so. It doesn't matter. That's not going to help you. They are depraved. They are unprincipled. They are barbaric and inhumane. They're having civil wars with each other simply based upon who's going to hold the knife that cuts up the white supremacist cake, but they are not trying to stop anything. We would be in a prime position to destabilize them at this point. We'd be in a prime position to capitalize on it, but we're not. There's the element that's missing. So, folks, when we talk about the foundation, it's also going to have to be about the foundation of getting organized on business. These Muslims have shown you what happens when you get organized. You get organized and the paper is together. Next thing you know, it's like, man, we ain't worried about they trolling online. They all pay us. However, you might disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and pin the link to the Zoom here at the top of the chat room. So you are more than welcome to go ahead and give us a call for this. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support here. Cornell Sly. Thank you very much for your support tonight here, brother. We appreciate that. To our brother Keith, thank you as much as well. To Mr. Richburg, Cyberdyne 100. Thank you very much for your support tonight here. We appreciate that as well. Shout out to Keenan, to Rhonda, Denise, and everybody else out here. Thank you very much for your support. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll go ahead and hit you all's calls up here on Zoom. This is the Black Channel.
The teacher, knowledge on the block, got the kids learning. Books and skills from the east to the west, bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire, innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades, future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder, smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we reppin' the gains. Listen, be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And just a word about being on code here. Folks, you are judged in these environments by what it is that you sacrifice for. It's moments like this that you want to take a look around and see where everybody is and other folks are at here. And we got a good number of folk up in here tonight. We got a good number of people here tonight It used to be a whole lot of other folks. The numbers would usually be lower on the Super Bowl for whatnot, but we got a good number in here tonight. Still about half what it should be, but we got a good number there. And you know what? That's what I've always focused on. I've always focused on that. I recognize and understand most people sit up here and bull jive around, which is how we got in the situation that we are in. But that's what it means to be leading. What it means to be leading, that's what it means. And I recognize the folk who are doing that. The folks who are here, I see regular names I recognize here, you know, so Tom Slick, Brother Fuquan, you know, I see folk like that. Takiria Williams, thank you very much for joining us here. Don't recognize the name, but thank you. Miss Kitty Caddy Mac, thank you as well. Black Cougar. What? Okay, well, get in where you fit in. Rodney Scott and everybody else here. So and on nights like this is the kind of thing that we're looking for. I like showing up while everybody else is distracted. They're all over there. And it goes back to the foundations of our resistance. While we can hear the noise from the distracted people cheering in the background, we can hear the noise back there. And that's when we all huddle together because we know all of them are over there distracted. And that's where we want them to be. We want them to be over there distracted. While they're over there distracted, we're over here organizing, which is where we're supposed to be. So I'm not offended by that. That's exactly where it's supposed to be at. All right, we got Brother Dijon up here on 4. What's on Zoom? What's on your mind, brother?
Yes, sir. So I was calling. I had a young cat that was with me today, and I told him he needed some direction, and I told him I was going to end up calling you today so we can either set it up on your Saturday's broadcast and just get him some direction. I wonder if I can end up emailing on you, or what do you need me to do?
Yeah, you can just email me.
Okay. What do you want me to put as a header?
You can just email me.
Okay, I'll do that.
Wrong channel, sir. Wrong channel. All right, let me go ahead and see if we can get back over here on Zoom again. Let me get Charles up here on Zoom. All right, Charles, what's on your mind?
What's up? Hope everyone's having a good day, good evening, and such. And one thing, I look at all this stuff here, and it's not really surprising how these demons, and they're acting like demons, are in this position. But yeah, it always gives me a chuckle how many people are so surprised about how they act or everything else. Like, oh my gosh, how is Epstein or someone in different get all this money and power? It is because people behind them. It is the money people behind them. It is people who have large bank accounts and large, power behind them. And remember, Epstein was a part of intelligence, government intelligence, and is this is people seem to have kind of wishy-washy on that. They're wishy-washy on this type of the definitions and everything. And that's, and that to me, when we have to be focused, that we have to have that type of readiness. And right now, sadly, we're not, like you said on this program. And my hope is that people who do listen, who do have the capability to do so, start filing those lawsuits. Start actually looking at their local stuff, saying, hey, this is wrong. We need to fight this.
Okay, well, there's a lot of interesting things involved here, and I like to know things before I say things. In the internet age, so many people are just conditioned to try to be first because they're so desperate for attention. So they don't care if they're right. They want to be first because they're just, okay, I got some attention. So they end up just saying anything and everything because they're just constantly LARPing for attention. I don't do that, which means I also get the chance to think things over. And there is a conclusion that I've come to. We've all kind of had the same thought about things. How much money is enough? This is a basic question. How much is enough? If you actually really want access to all the Russian whores you can handle, if you really want access to all the crazy wild sex and drugs you can imagine, You don't need $100 billion. Hell, 20 million to take care of that. 100 million will take care of that. Why do you need 100 billion? What is it that you're trying to do that requires that kind of gargantuan sum? You don't need $100 billion if you just want to lay up with every whore and slut and prostitute and stripper on the planet. You don't need $100 billion for that. You do need $100 billion if you want to have a free floating brothel of underage females.
What? Damn!
Yeah.
Now, you will need $100 billion if you want to pull that off. You gonna need $100 billion for that because you're gonna have to buy a lot. Well, Jason, what kind of a lot? Jeffrey Epstein had bought a whole damn island. Islands, planes. So do you realize it was like the drug cartels without selling a product? Jeffrey Epstein's operation was essentially, if you take a look at the size and the scale and the scope of it, that thing was essentially the size and scale and scope of what we see with the Mexican and the Colombian drug cartels. Except, wait a minute, he ain't selling nothing. I mean, they got that because they're selling a product. Illegal, but they're selling a product. So you can understand how they have this huge operation of people and lawyers paid off and planes. And it's this big illegal corporation. Well, what is he selling that requires those gargantuan amounts of money? And it's like, well, it's not drugs. I mean, they're buying their drugs along with everybody else. He's not selling it. So what is he selling? What are you doing? Oh, we sell access to a specific type of experience. And we got doctors, lawyers, recruiters, folk from the Ford agency. Yeah, we're from Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah, that's what we do. Well, if you're going to do that and keep it on the low because it is illegal, you're going to need basically unlimited infrastructure. It's not just nifty to have, you're going to need it. Oh. And if you're one of the clients, you're going to need even more. So Jeffrey going to need $1 billion or $2 billion. And the folk who want him to be the middleman, they're going to need even more than that. Now I'm going to take you all a bit deeper. What is it that you... Tell me. I don't care if you're the biggest hedonist on the planet. John McAfee of McAfee, antivirus software. He was one of them kind of dudes. He didn't need billions. He had access to it, but he didn't need that. You can live a completely hedonistic lifestyle, buying islands, globe-trotting around the world, having every bit of debauchery you want on a few $100 million. And what I'm saying is that will buy you all the hedonism you can handle with all your friends. What is it you're trying to buy that you need $500 billion, or in Elon Musk's case, $1 trillion? What is it you're trying to buy? Because you've already got access to all the sex and drugs. Hell, he's got so much that he got baby mamas all over the place putting them in penthouses so they can go get stoned. So what is it you're trying to get this much capital together to buy that 100 million or 100 billion won't buy? That was the question I started asking. That there must be some reason you need this much money, because there's something you're trying to buy and 100 million and 100 billion won't buy it. Well, what could that be? And then I realized it. $1 trillion, that's enough money to buy an entire nation. What? That's not money for buying a car. They already have the largest corporations, so that's not money for an acquisition. He's not trying to buy a product or people. You need that kind of money. Well, that's enough money to buy a nation. That's enough money to buy a country. Now it makes sense. Let me ask you all a question. If you wanted to purchase a congressman, how much would that cost you? If you wanted to purchase a senator, how much would that cost you? If you wanted to purchase a president, how much does it cost a president just to run for office? A couple of $2 billion now.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to buy a president, well, that's going to cost you more than $2 billion now, isn't it? Now, my last question, because we already addressed how much it costs to buy a congressman, senator, president. My last question, how much would it cost to buy them all? Instead of piecemealing this thing, how much would it cost to buy all of them? I mean, all of them at once. Not over the course of years. How much money would you need if you wanted to make a move on all of them at the same time? Now, think about the mentality of these people, because they'll be thinking about it the way you do about buying a Bentley or buying one of their mega mansions or one of their mega yachts. Well, why should I just buy one congressman when I can buy them all? Oh, man, it costs billions to buy a president. How much would it cost to buy all 635 members of Congress and the Senate? To get them all together, I figure you'd need somewhere around $500 billion to $1 trillion. To buy all of them? Yeah, if I was going to make a move like that, I would want a war chest of somewhere around $500 billion. At least. That's going to be the floor. If I'm going to actually get them all. Now, sure, I won't get all of them necessarily, but even to make a run like that, brother, you don't need that kind of money to buy a car and get your next drug hit. You don't need $500 billion for that, and they are hell-bent for leather to get hundreds of billions and now trillions of dollars. You can't, that's not going to buy you nothing except a nation. You've already passed the price target for anything else. You can order 1,000 of anything else you want for $1 trillion. So it's like, it can't be that. That can't be what they're doing this for. The only thing that makes sense is you're trying to buy a government. And by the way, you're going to need to buy more than one.
Nigga, what?
Oh, yeah, one more thing. And you're going to have to buy more than one. It will not do you any good to simply purchase the American government. You probably need to go get that British one in the EU while you're at it. Yeah, you still think $500 billion is going to get the job done? Still think that's going to patch together them holes? And does it make sense why they're all flying like the devil on two wheels to try to get as much money as they can? Well, the only thing you could do is buy governments now, because that's the only price tag that you could use that for. It can't be for goods and services. This is way too much. So to buy 50 governors in America, 50 governors, 635 congressmen plus 535 congressmen plus 100 senators, one president, one vice president. Oh, yeah. And then go get the House of Commons, the House of Lords, the prime minister over there in Britain. We go scoop them up and then go break down that European Union while we at it. Yeah, that'll run you $1 trillion. It sure will. And at that point, you don't have to worry about prosecutors anymore now, do you? You don't have to worry about prosecutors, reporters. They already bought off the media. But do you realize at that point, you're not worried about anything? You're not worried about nothing. You own them all. That's what I think this is about. I think that Bill Gates and all the rest of them, they realized a long time ago. Take a look what Bill Gates did as soon as he stepped down from Microsoft. Immediately goes off to, hey, he needs some vaccines. Hey, he needs some abortions. Everything is about global engineering. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Global Initiative. And what was he over there globally doing? Let me get your dollar right quick. Yeah, if you want to live that kind of hedonistic, voluptuary, Caligula lifestyle, that's going to cost billions, not millions. If you want to live like the Romans at the height of their decadence, in modern dollars, that's not measured in millions, that's going to be billions. And now does it make sense why all of them are absolutely obsessed with getting as much money as they can? Because now they can finally cut loose. One more reminder, y'all, this is Bill Clinton with a heart stent. What? Damn! Remember? Or have you all forgotten? Bill Clinton has 1 or 2 stents. Obviously hasn't slowed him down that much now, has it? Obviously hasn't slowed him down that much. So yeah, folks, if you want to know what the end game is for the Larry Ellisons and the Bill Gateses and all the richest people, Elon Musk and the rest of them, is you find out that, yeah, they're all the same. Hedonism is for all of them here. And now they just want the governments to bow. What good is the money if you don't have the freedom to spend it the way you want to? But what if the way you want to spend it is with underage girls? Now what? What if that's what you've really been dreaming of doing your whole life? Well, you can get it, but that's going to cost you a lot. And if you don't want to end up being indicted, you're going to have to buy the government before they can indict you. I better buy me a president and a vice president before they get to office. And that vice president better not say a damn word. Oh, where's my thing at? Yeah, man. These people sit up here and it's not accidental. Yeah, J.D. Vance ain't tweeted in 3 days. Remember I showed y'all that last week? Why do you think that is with Peter Thiel's name all over the Epstein files? And Peter Thiel's boy ain't got a word to say. You think that if he was in the White House or there's anything resembling an indictment coming, this is what they all wanted to be the richest man in the world for. Right here. And now it's hit a snag because while they were busy living the voluptuary lifestyle, you left a bunch of evidence out there and you don't own enough people that you can all finally reinvent the Roman Empire at the height of its decadence. That's what they really want. They want to recreate Rome at the height of its decadence, and it shouldn't surprise you that little Nick Fuentes is sitting right there, and what's he always telling you? What's Nick Fuentes always telling you? Well, he never quits yapping to you about Rome. He never quits doing that. Oh yeah, one more thing while I'm at it. Let me go ahead and spin this platter here right quick.
A joke on the internet. I'm a live streamer.
You're like a YouTube channel? Or something?
Yeah.
You're saying you're a white supremacist?
I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. My last name's Fuentes.
I know. I kind of
white supremacist.
I saw that. And what is that about? You're saying you're a white supremacist?
I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. My last name's Fuentes.
I know. I kind of
white supremacist.
I saw that. And what?
That's 2024. I think this was after the dude shot up his house. He's talking to the police and they said, so what are you, like a white supremacist? I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. What? Damn! What? Damn! Now, this isn't Jason Black talking. This is Nick Fuentes. Less than a little over a year ago, because that was November of 2024. So a little over a year ago, when he was talking to the police, he was Mexican. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. Now, don't expect this to make any impression on the MAGA morons, because he's a mascot and, being ridiculous and stupid and hypocritical and conflicted. And don't expect this to dim their stupidity one bit. They're going to keep marching. But by the way, in case you all want to know, this was just a little over a year ago. A little over a year ago, he was Mexican. Now, if he was a member of a sensible group, which he's not, but if he were, they would be like, by the way, what are you again, Nick? Mexican? You figure the Groypers would be having a great big huge powwow, pardon the expression, Groypers, about that. You'd figure they would, wouldn't you? I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah. And these people, like I said, they have no consistency. They're hypocrites. Every single one of them are the most hypocritical people on the planet and such. They try to say they're like Rome, but at the end of the day, all they have is just they want to be Caligula, but at the end of the day, they just don't have any type of focus or anything else. That's why the emails and everything else, they just said no security, know it all, the arrogance of it. And this was known. I guarantee you this stuff was known from every presidential administration. On down, they knew about all of this, and they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing because, what? Who was going to stop them?
Well, let me address the emails real quick here, because if you all want to know my position on it, Jeffrey Epstein was a contractor. He was a contractor working between the Israeli and the American government, and he took advantage of a situation. He got himself into it. In my opinion, I think that he got wrapped up with Ghislaine Maxwell, and he learned about her father and how he did things. Because Robert Maxwell, if y'all take a look at the Epstein files and everything else, Robert Maxwell was making hella money off the Israelis and organized crime and a bunch of things. And now looking through the files and everything, it now becomes apparent that Robert Maxwell threatened the wrong people. He had a little racket going. Things kind of got hemmed up legally. The money got cut off, and he started threatening people and saying, hey, if y'all don't come bail me out, I'm going to start telling folk what I know. And he threatened the wrong people, either in organized crime or the Mossad or both, it appears now, either one or the other or both. And now it appears he went threatening them because his money got cut off and got messed up, and they weren't returning his phone calls, apparently. And he got tired of begging and just said, hey, y'all better come do something. And they like, oh, we coming to do something, all right. Next thing you know, what do you know? He fell off his boat. And I think Jeffrey Epstein is one of those people who saw that and they think that kind of stuff is romantic. Y'all remember Barry Seal? If you don't, Barry Seal worked for Pablo Escobar. Okay, but he was real flamboyant and he thought he was some kind of playboy or whatever, man. These Colombians ain't playing no games with you. This is not Hollywood, bro. And they're like, yeah, we gonna get you on American soil. He figured, I'm in America, I'm safe. They're like, dude, ain't nothing safe. And I think Epstein came from that world and that kind of idea that he'll get mobbed up and you'll get rich and stuff. And that he felt that I've got so much information on so many people. And I'll make it clear to them that if anything happens to me, if I go down, we all going down. And I think he just really overplayed his hand to a certain extent. Either that or he was correct and can't nobody touch me and he's out there somewhere today. It's one or the other. But I think it's a situation like that. He just got together so much information, not just to get files on people, but to protect himself. Because I do not think he wanted to go out the way Maxwell did. And I think he got together a bunch of stuff to protect himself. That, hey, I'm working for y'all and I'm not going to be the fall guy. And it started coming together a certain way and he ain't with it. So if you're asking me at this point, information is still coming in. We'll see where it goes. But at this point, that's what it was. And by the way, he believed in a bunch of this stuff too. He believed in Jewish supremacy. He believed in the master race. He believed in all that stuff right there. He had wacky ideas, and the Israelis and Americans saw how they could use that. That this guy just don't have no limits. He has no boundaries. He'll sleep with women. He'll sleep with men. He'll sleep with children. Might be some barnyard animals up in there. This is a man who has no limits, neither socially or financially nor personally. Now, when you think about that, he is the perfect operative to send anywhere because there's nothing he won't do. So if you put him in a room with, one of the females from the royal family, he has no problem making a move on her. If you put him in a room with one of these gay dudes on Wall Street, he's got no problem with them making a move on him. He can operate wherever you send him, and he'll get down however y'all need him to get down. So it's very hard for people to make him as an agent because it's like, wait a minute, what? Wasn't the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch sleeping with him? What do you mean he's an agent? He had 2 men working him over. So what do you mean? You realize how slippery of an eel that is right there? How do you get a read on him when he's not afraid to do anything? It's like, hey, I saw him with some 3rd graders. It's like, are you serious? Yeah. What kind of agent does that? It's like, well, this guy, he's got to be real. He must be. Look at what he's doing. There's no way a legal operative could do this, so he must be one of us. I mean, he ain't one of us because he's this fella on a whole different level from us. Do you see what I mean? There's nothing he won't do. When you have an operative like that, he's very valuable. He's like Red Reddington. Without, with pedophilia, which I Red never would have done. But yeah, he's like a real life Red Reddington. You realize how valuable somebody like that is in the real world to be able to use him. And he's just been, this is a guy. And the other thing is, I think he was supposed to be a sponge, which he obviously was. His job was to suck up every scintilla of information. Literally his job was to come into contact with as many people as he could. Do you notice that he just talked to everybody? He tried to make friends with literally everyone. If you send him in a room, his goal basically was to give a business card and get contact information for everybody in that room. And then he's just sending you out feelers all the damn time. Come to my yacht, come to this party, come to Monaco. His job was to network 24/7 and eventually see who you could break. So he just soaked up like a sponge everything. And by the way, for those of you who didn't know, there actually is, this guy was connected all the way back to Iran-Contra. What? Damn! He goes back all the way to Iran-Contra. The planes that Reagan and them used for Iran-Contra ended up with Epstein. Don't believe me? Go look it up for yourselves. The planes that they used for Iran-Contra ended up with him. I don't mean sideways. I mean a company he owned took possession of the planes. The government set up a phony company to run the planes. And when they finally got outed, they, quote, sold the planes. And Jeffrey Epstein ended up with it. Not bad for a high school English teacher, huh? With no real explanation for how the hell you bought airplanes fresh out of high school English teacher. Wow. They say he worked for Bear Stearns. I challenge anyone to show me his financial mastery in investment banking. I challenge anyone to show me that. So, brother, what I'm saying is that when we take a look how far this goes back all the way to the 80s, how deep he was in the most notorious scandals ever since, this guy was there for everything. everything. That was his job. So I think he was like, I'm just so deep in it, y'all can't do nothing to me. And either they did or he was right and they just smuggled him out. But I don't have time to go into it too much deeper than that. But thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, y'all. If you go take a look at this thing right here, you can go look up every word I just said just now. By the way, it's out there. It's out there, and he goes way back. If Reagan were still alive, we'd have to be asking him questions. There's things you don't want to go into because remember, Reagan's from the pre-email era. I wonder if there's communications between him and Reagan, him and Oliver North, him and Kissinger. What? How far back does this really go? Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. Let me see if we can get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom for me. Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, B1, Big Brother Jason. Hey, brother, excellent broadcast tonight. There were some points I wanted to ask about. Like when we're talking about the Epstein case and everything like that, and then when you brought up Nick Sweetbutt Fuentes, I got a question on that. It's not just Sweetbutt Fuentes. I'm looking at Myron, Calpish, Urine, Gaines, all these other people who like to go online and criticize the Jews, and the folks who run YouTube are allowing this. I'm asking this question: do you literally think that these are paid agitators and trolls? Hey, just go and say this about us, because I noticed how you let them, how they the media let these people on this long, but they was quick to cancel Kanye. Even with the situation with Corey Bush out of Missouri, all right, Jamal Bowman out of New York, they got them out of the.
Okay, did you have a question, Elijah?
That's my question.
Okay, what's your question?
No, my question is, are these when you were talking about Nick Fuentes and all of them, do you think that these are paid agitators right there for saying they're just saying anything? Because you mentioned this earlier.
There are people who've been saying that Nick Fuentes is a government asset for years now.
Yeah.
So
right.
They've been saying that for years. And you got folks who claim they got paperwork. Candace Owens wanted to do that right when she got sideways with him. Tucker Carlson was saying it. Then when he thought he could use the little imp, he's backed down from it. Now he's back again. So, yeah. I mean, look, the federal government knows what it's doing.
Okay.
Because here's the thing that nobody realizes yet. Jeffrey Epstein was the worm that we caught. How many other Epsteins are there out there? Because it would do a government zero good to only have one. All your eggs would be in that basket. And operative, no matter how capable, it's useless to have just one.
Right.
So it's a mathematical certainty that Epstein was one among at least several. Operating at different levels. Now, you go back to us in COINTELPRO. Nick Fuentes would be an excellent government operative among white supremacists now, wouldn't he?
Damn! Yes, sir.
I mean, think about how valuable of a mole he would be. Oh, yeah, and one more thing. There's nothing he won't do.
Damn! Yes.
Sound familiar? By the way, there's nothing he won't do either. No matter how outlandish, no matter how unsavory, you send him anywhere. Why, he loves Hail Hitler, whatever in the world you need, he'll do it. And for a fellow
Right.
who claims that he's unbanked, he certainly hasn't had trouble paying his bills now, has he?
Exactly.
He's got a whole damn house, not an apartment. He's got a whole damn house.
Right.
Hmm.
In Chicago, of all places, as expensive as it is.
Are you sure this is just an online troll? Are you sure it is, and that there's not something more to it?
Yes, sir.
So a person could be forgiven for suspecting that this goes deeper. A person could be forgiven for that. I mean, some of the most ridiculous events of the last decade, Nick Fuentes has been front line. Sound familiar?
Yes,
From
sir.
Iran-Contra to 9/11 to the Great Recession, the financial crisis, Jeffrey Epstein had a part in something involved in all these things. Now that we look back, he was connected in some way to all of them. The last decade since the white supremacist uprising in Charlottesville, Nick Fuentes has been a constant feature. He's been a constant ornament. From Charlottesville to January 6th, Trump 1, Trump 2, Kanye West, right there front line with Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And we already know that was a production. We already know that was whole engineered. Yes. When you start just going by the data, forget your opinion, forget your thoughts about him. When we just start writing down where was he and what was he doing, you just start seeing, this is very interesting. Wow,
Yes, sir.
you sure do show up in a lot of momentous events and places at just the right time.
Yes, sir.
And to everything important going on, you're not very far away, Nick. We just couldn't help but notice you're not very far away from any of it.
Right.
Going back a decade? I mean, he's not just online, he's actually there in person.
Yes.
Whooping up everybody else and telling them time to make some noise. Okay. So that's what got folks sideways with him after January 6th. Because they're like, how the hell is he sitting there with a microphone in the middle of everything, whipping everybody up, and he never got arrested?
Right.
They came and arrested Enrique Tarrio, and he wasn't even there. Nick Fuentes was there with the bullhorn and didn't get arrested. So yeah, a lot of folk were looking at him sideways after. They're like, wait a minute, how y'all know how it is? Y'all see this tape and stuff. Wait a minute, everybody in court. You know what happened if y'all go commit a crime and everybody's in court except your dude who's in the passenger seat. All of y'all got walked in. He's the only one that ain't there. It's like, oh, man, he talking to them people, man. There's a reason he's not in here. He making himself a deal. So this kind of situation right there. Wait a minute, we were all committing crime that day, and Nick's the only one that didn't get arrested with us. Okay. So they've been having questions about that ever since that happened.
Yes, sir. Big brother, one last question, because you mentioned this in tonight's broadcast, especially pertaining with the black lawyers and everything like that. But and you mentioned the late great Thurgood Marshall and the late great Johnny Cochran. I do have a question about civil rights when you were talking about the civil rights fossils of that time. I asked this question outside of them breaking desegregation. All right, at least in law only, okay? What gains have we got after those 60 years other than voting Democrat, getting gentrified out of our neighborhoods, okay? We have not gotten any wins since that 65 voting rights act.
I mean, well, that was the whole point. That was the entire point. That was what Dr. John Henry Clark said. Dr. John Henry Clark said that he said that in the 1960s, the American social order would have given us anything that we wanted. He said that when we tore up in the streets then, the American social order was prepared to give us whatever we wanted. And we settled for integration. That was what they threw on the table, and we took it. And the civil rights generation does not like to hear that played because that is the damn truth. We have to be honest about it.
Yes,
I tell you all, their goal was to finally get acceptance. Remember, they weren't on they got to watch Leave It to Beaver, but they weren't on TV. They got to drink Coke, but they weren't in the ads. So remember books like The Invisible Man. Why do you think those books resonated with them so much? That became their priority. Why do you think Shaft identified with them so well and resonated with them so much? They wanted to be a part of America. That was their goal, was to be a part of it, to finally be let in. It's like having a party and you hear the music muffled through the door, just bumping, and nobody will let you in. And they spent decades, let me in, damn it, let me in, let me in, let me in. I'll do whatever you want. And they're like, okay, well, you guys stop all that turn up and we'll integrate you. All right, I'll take it. They did not want empowerment. They wanted integration because remember, they already had their own nightclubs. They already had their own restaurants. They already had their own stores. Yeah, but we don't have any white folk here for it. I mean, they come in, they're some of your biggest customers. Yeah, but it's taboo and we don't want that. We want freedom of movement. And so that's why I tell you all, at the end of the day, what they ended up getting was Cadillac. Remember, Cadillac would not sell to them. You all don't want to go down this psychological rabbit hole. Remember, Cadillac would not sell to black people. Remember, from the dealerships, Cadillac would not sell to them. So that became a major psychological sticking point for their generation. Cadillac is the best and the finest, but the dealers don't want to sell to black folks. So guess what? Like everything else, that became a long-standing goal. So next thing you know, everything in life became about getting a Cadillac. Later, this would switch to Mercedes. But Cadillac, for those of you who wonder what their obsession was with it, originally it was difficult for black folk to get one because the dealerships could legally refuse to sell them one, which they did. Go Google it for yourselves. Don't believe me, just go Google it and you'll see plenty of information on that. So there was a whole bunch of things, whether it was the lunch counter or Woolworths or whatever, these became psychological obsessions of acceptance, and that became their goal. So they started abandoning what they had because they were desperate to get accepted. They saw white women being held up. Think about that for a few moments. When you take a look at your movies, for example, you're watching your black and white movies, you're watching Star Trek on television, whatever. They used to like smear Vaseline on the lenses. That's how you had that glowing effect when they would show the women on screen. So they would put a bright light on the females if they had a close up and they would be glowing. So you see Rita Hayworth or Audrey Hepburn or whoever, you know, that was one of the things they would do. So that's how remember, that was new back then. For us, we seen it our whole lives, but for them it was new. So when they turned on the TVs and looked on the movie theaters and saw these glowing white women with damn near halos on them, they were enraptured. They were programmed. I got to get that. I got to get that. And at that point, it became ravenous. And when they told them, well, you can have that if y'all get out the streets. And they said, all right, done. And ever since, they have had free-floating interracial sexual access. They've had drugs. All of the decadences and hedonism that they felt that white society was quote unquote enjoying, that became the goal. Everything else got dropped, and that became the goal. And so what the problem is, when you ask, why did we quit so early during the civil rights era? I'm telling you, I am telling you, and Dr. John Henry Clark told you, they didn't quit, quote, early. From your perspective, they quit early because you realized what didn't get done. For them, they succeeded. They got what they wanted. They got what they came for. So it was time to get out the streets because they got what they came for. And you're looking at it and saying, this is pathetic. This is petty. This is ridiculous. It was what they wanted. So they accomplished what they set out to do. That's why.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yes, sir. To you, it feels like unfinished business. For the civil rights generation, that was their goal, and they accomplished what they set out to do, and they were done. Somebody in the chat room said, mission accomplished. Yes, they were done, which is why you showing up talking about, wait a minute, there's still a problem, and their reaction to you was not, you are correct, we got to ride. Their reaction to you is, shut your little young ass up and get out the streets. Y'all need to quit making all this damn noise. You got tennis shoes and cell phones, don't you? You is freeze. And that's why they came at you, talking to you like that, defending the system, because they got what they wanted. They got bought off, and that was what they got bought off with. So your vocabulary to them is completely foreign, or should I say it's not foreign. When you talk like this, all they hear is that you're threatening all the gains that they made for themselves. You're threatening that. You need to shut up with that because you're threatening it. We got a good thing going here and you're threatening it. So just understand your definition of the goal and theirs are two diametrically opposed things. All right, we got Brother Shakir up here on Zoom. Shakir, what's on your mind?
Good evening. Two quick questions. How would I'm trying to get my thought pattern together here. As Black Americans, we want to replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice. But how is that accomplished with the people, I'm talking about the American government, who claim that justice is what we say it is? And as you articulated earlier, if it was truly a system of justice, then the Epstein people would be perp walked, and that CEOs who hire illegals would also be perp walked.
Yes, I mean, that's the entire point, is that their definition of justice is not a just definition. It is a power definition. So when you say justice is whatever I define it, well, you're not discussing justice. You're masquerading as justice. You're really about power.
And the other thing I wanted to say was, you were talking earlier about people wanting to buy governments. Well, I would submit to you that the Congressional Black Caucus and the legal class, along with Obama, they can be purchased for pennies on the dollar.
Oh, and they weren't just purchased, they were manufactured. So the payment for them was on the front end. So just like you would manufacture a toy or a wheel, they were paid for on the front end when they were manufactured. So yes, they came pre-bought.
Yeah. Pre-assembled, yeah. And finally, one other point that I had is that I know that the civil rights generation, what they wanted integration. Lately, I've heard some FBA saying they want segregation, but as Black Americans, they can have segregation, but we can't be completely separated from the system because in the name itself, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. So I guess the white establishment, the dominant society, looks at us and say, on the one hand, you had the civil rights generation who wanted integration. Now you're having some FBAs calling for separation. And so they're saying to themselves, are Black Americans just nothing but a group of conflicting impulses in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got some people who are looking at what's going on, and they are coming to overly simplistic solutions because what they're looking at is the evils of it, and they say, okay, integration. They look at how integration turned out negatively. So first, we had a problem with segregation. Well, yes, because it wasn't true, separate, but equal. It was oppression under white supremacy. Now you have a problem with integration. Well, yeah, because it's not true integration. It is oppression and white supremacy. So now they're saying what they're doing is overly simplistic because their frame of reference is when they were born. So if you're millennials, you don't have a frame of reference before that. So if you think integration is the problem, an overly simplistic response is, okay, go in the opposite direction, as opposed to a strategic understanding of what's wrong with this. Also, when you're taught about it, you also understand that, quote, segregation, that the other reason why that's overly simplistic is because that's not really a practical thing. You don't have the ability to be truly segregated. As long as you're on American soil and subject to an American government, segregation, first of all, how'd that work out for the white segregationists? But segregation is really a cliche. You can say the word, but you don't actually have that. You can segregate only to the extent of maybe your personal affiliations inside your house. So your social interactions in your home, I suppose you can segregate that. But that's just really freedom of association. That's not true segregation. What the real thing about it is having the ability to have other folk not dictate that to you. So financially, education-wise, eminent domain, you don't really have the ability to segregate yourself. Not truly. That can be, you have it only to an extent, and that can be infringed at any time. Oh yeah, and you better not call it segregation either. So in reality, that's not a real thing. So you want to deal with the problem. The answer is not quote unquote segregation. The answer is empowerment. Because let me tell you right now, you're not going to become an economic powerhouse and you just deal with black folk. Furthermore, you shouldn't want to. You want to deal with everyone. The idea of segregation is actually a negative. Once again, I remind you all of Japan and Captain William Perry and the black ships. After Ieyasu Tokugawa set the country off because he got all the white folk up out of there and we're going to close Japanese society, well, that was a very simplistic response, because inherent in the assumption that you can segregate and isolate yourself is the assumption that you are the height of civilization and technology, and whatever is happening outside of you is still operating behind you, without you checking anybody else out to confirm that you're still in the lead. You separated yourself and isolated yourself, and there were other folk out there who advanced beyond you, and you didn't even know. Now you're dependent on, well, those other folks we locked out, hopefully they will honor the fact that we don't want any visitors. Well, they isolated themselves, your opposition advanced themselves, they armed themselves, and then they came back and said, yeah, you about to become a whole lot more social. And there's nothing you can do to stop us. That's the price of isolation. You fall out of touch with events happening around you. You might not be concerned about harming your neighbors. Can you guarantee me that your neighbors will not be concerned about harming you? So you better be tapped in and clocked into what other folk are thinking. You better be. You cannot afford isolation in a world of planes, trains, automobiles, and thermonuclear weapons. You can't afford to be isolated. Isolation is ignorance. And eventually somebody's going to want to make a move on you. Ain't that right, Venezuela, Cuba, Kenya, Rwanda, Nigeria, Sudan, you get the Panama Canal. No matter how big or how small, somebody's going to come make a move on you. And being unaware is the worst thing you can be. At least if you're aware, you got the ability to do something. If you're not aware, you're just going to get steamrolled. Ain't that right, Japan? I'll let you have the last word.
You had mentioned, you brought up those African nations, and I think the disunity among the African nations is really what has allowed white supremacy to thrive. How is it that China, who has a vast population, is able to form a cohesive government, and over in Africa, you have, as I say, all these mini governments, and yet the people themselves won't want to rise against those governments to do the right thing. Instead, they want to come over here and claim to be part of the building of America. So I think that really our problem is just that we were able to fight white supremacy, but over in Africa, by them not really wanting to fight it, by them wanting to be on the side of the oppressor, that really kind of like paves the way for the strength and the dominance of white supremacy.
Well, the issue here goes back to the terminology used. Just like it was a misnomer saying segregation, and what you just said, it's a misnomer to say united. What is the African's definition of united? Because I can see what the definition of united is in China. What is the African's definition of united?
Interracial sexual access with white people, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, when you take a look at Africa, we're not really sure what their definition of, quote, united is. I submit to you they don't have one.
Will they ever?
Not in the context that you understand united to be. They actually don't have one. And that's why they have the results they have, and China got the results they got.
Are they interested in having one?
All I can say is you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. Take a look at what's happening. I submit to you that's what answers your question when you even start suggesting what united is. Being pissy and trying to shoplift our culture from us is not unity. That's a flash mob. That's not unity. So their definition of unity, brother, I would submit to you that they need to figure out what that is. And if they ever do, I think you'll start seeing it. But it comes down to the soil. I don't think they have one. Not in the manner you understand it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, I mean, we have a concept of what unity is, but when you try to project it onto them, it's like, do they actually know? In their day-to-day lives, can they show me what their concept of, quote, unity is? Unity in practice. And that's when you start seeing it's like, I don't know, man. It's looking real funny over here. They're unified when white folks show up, but by themselves, it's like it kind of just breaks down in the conflict. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. Let me see if I can get one brother up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, sir?
B1, sir. Good evening to the family. Thank you for holding this program, particularly this evening. I just had 2 quick questions regarding the individuals on the screen. If this isn't just blatantly from the top, what's the chess move that Nick Fuentes thinks that he's doing with this association?
This is a very interesting question that you would ask there. I have to answer that in 2 ways based on the conversation that we've had tonight. Avenue number 1. Nick Fuentes is desperate for relevance. He's desperate not to recede into the background because he has nothing to offer, which is what I told everybody last year. He burns too bright, he burns too hot, and there's really no reason to keep talking about him because he hasn't accomplished anything. The election is over, and the only thing he can really do is troll. He wasn't relevant enough to even pull off the grift that Candace Owens is doing to keep talking about Charlie Kirk all the time. So he doesn't even have the ability to do that. So just being a hater in the background, first you hate the Democrats, then Charlie Kirk, then Trump, it's like, okay, you're just all against all. So it makes for interesting entertainment, I suppose, but not for very much social advancement. So what do you do? Especially the worst thing of all is people know exactly what you're going to say before they even listen to you. In the case of Candace Owens, she just keeps creating new conspiracies about Charlie Kirk. So to that extent, that worked out for Alex Jones for 25 years. So in that extent, it's kind of hard to predict because, okay, she keeps promising you that she's going to have the smoking gun next time. And every time you tune in tomorrow for the new smoking gun. She's got more smoking guns than a pawn shop. So she's got that. Nick doesn't. So for him to maintain relevance, he's going to have to do more and more and more. And remember, now you got copycats out there because they saw what he did, Myron Gaines and all the rest of them. So now you got other folk who've seen the formula and they're all like, hey, I can do it too because you've normalized this stupidity. So what happens for him? He has to keep going even further. What got people's attention last month doesn't get their attention this month. So what I call setting yourself on fire. He comes back first. He said his shoes on fire. Now his leg. Now his waist. And he's like, watch me drench myself. And it's like that. So he's everything he has to do now. You have to keep ramping up the volume and ramping up the extreme to get not even to get more viewers or more attention, just to hold on to what you got. Now you have to keep going more extreme. On television, the TV show Happy Days, they called it Jumping the Shark because they had been on TV and it seemed like they had stayed much longer. The show had been on much longer than they probably should have. And that's when they saw the episode of, the Fonz skiing over a shark, jumping over a shark while skiing. And that kind of just rubbed a lot of folks like, wow, this isn't even funny. This is just weird. But it became a bit of a spectacle. It's like, okay, we've done everything we can do. When they run out of stuff to do, it's just like, okay, we'll just do something. And that's where Nick is now. He's burned all of his bridges, even in white supremacist society. He's burned all of his bridges. He's kind of out there by himself. So that's it. In the chat room, Mad for Song 01 needs to give me a call up on Zoom. Mad for Song 01. Mad for Song 01 has 2 minutes to be on Zoom for me here. Very glad you had that to say. So it's about time for you to speak directly to the source. Since you have something to say about the foundation, Mad for Song, so glad you came up with that right there. So you need to be on the line. You got 2 minutes. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. And for my second question, you brought up a haunting one about Epstein precisely because it makes sense. So as he's trying to amass, obviously, all this wealth, and like you said, out of proportion to any skills or smarts that would make his finances make sense, do you think that this push, whether it's him or the PayPal mafia, whoever, do you think that this climb to wealth like this to do what they want is more of an individual effort, like them trying to do it, or more of a push from handlers to have people who have this?
No, it's all the above. Remember, in the days of the Roman Empire, you had dynasties, you had royal families. So you had one individual with autocratic power. Whatever they said, that went. You usher in democracy, and the whole point of democracy is it allegedly empowers the individual. The idea of the government structure as set up in America was supposed to be a weak central government. Remember, they had just left a monarchy, which is a super strong central government. So the entire idea behind the Constitution is supposed to be the limitations on government. The first 10 amendments are supposed to be outlining these are the things government cannot do. These are the things that protect you from government and put restraints on government. It literally says that the freedom of speech will not be infringed. That's telling government, you can't infringe this. Right to the press, right to privacy, right to our guns. This is what you can't do. Not what the citizen can't do, but what the government can't do. So you see how that's a whole different thing from what you had under your so-called beloved cradle of Western civilization, Roman Empire. Well, that's a difference from that. So if you want to do what Caligula and Nero and the rest of them did, well, you can't do that now because you have a smaller, centralized, very powerful government. So if you're going to do it today we don't have a monarchy, we have an oligarchy. Is what you have today. So back then you had a monarchy. Now the power brokers are a oligarchy. And what you're finding out is that's not really an upgrade, is what we're finding out. Because what they learned was that in a democracy, you can end up with tyranny from the citizens, which was why George Washington and the boys wanted a representative government, because they realized direct democracy is mob rule. So that's not such a great thing either. There needs to be a restraint on it, a pressure valve, because direct democracy actually boils down to mob rule. Well, what that would mean is that what do you do when the citizens have the ability to vote themselves in a one-day work week and, endless free health care? Have you imagined that they could democratically come to that? That's not going to be such a great thing because it's unsustainable, though the average citizen might not be able to calculate that that's it. He might want it, but that might not actually be feasible, but now they can vote themselves into oblivion. What do you do then? Or what if the citizenry votes themselves in Epstein Island? Is that really what we want? So they decided there needs to be that limitation. So direct democracy is not the way to go. So that's why you don't have that. By the same token, you have this so-called free market. Hello, Adam Smith, and all the rest of them. Well, the idea for that is it'll create your economic structure, and it'll also create creativity and industriousness and improve the society at the citizen level. In theory, that works fantastically. But just like under direct democracy, the citizens could take over and make all kinds of things that they shouldn't have. Did you consider that your oligarchy would become more powerful than the central government? which was not something they really thought of at the time, that, well, your industrialists could become even stronger than the government itself. Now you have a bunch of unelected, magnates and tycoons. And before the end of the 19th century, we saw that in very, very clear relief. America didn't make it 1 century before they had robber barons. Didn't make it a century. Didn't make it the first 100 years before you saw, oh, these guys got plenty of money and they're taking over. No, not even the Federal Reserve. No, okay, no. Just a guy setting up a lemonade stand. Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, Jay Gould. When the railroads got set up, Jay Gould was the guy who said, I can pay half the poor to kill the other half. He didn't. You think Epstein and Elon Musk are bad? And they are. But Jay Gould said, I don't have to be fair to people. I can pay half the poor to kill the other half. So what is he telling you? I've got the power of a monarch. I got enough. If you got enough money, you got power. You have the power of a monarch if you have that. So that was one of those unintended consequences, because in theory, competition should prevent that from occurring. But when you say that capitalism should not be unfettered, what happens when you have somebody with tyrannical ideas who says, you know what, I can use this monetary system to get that. I can use the entrepreneurial system to do that. If I come up with a good enough idea, because they say that's where power coalesces. Hey, if you got a good idea, we're not going to stand in your way and we'll let you do what you want. Please remember, Nazi Germany did not come to power illegally. Hitler took over Germany democratically. What? For those of you who do not know or remember that, you haven't studied your history, Hitler came to power at the ballot box. I mean, he very cynically made it known. We'll strangle democracy with its own rope. Fine, you want democracy? Okay, we will outthink you. Hey, Joseph, go over there to America and study Hollywood. Figure out how we can repackage this damn thing. How we can repackage fascism to be sexy and cool. And that's exactly what they did. They repackaged fascism and tyranny to be sexy and cool and got enough of the population on board with them to get the ball rolling. And once the ball started rolling, oh, don't worry, we're going to take one seat by one seat. Next thing you know, we're the ruling party. And now we're going to go kill all the newspaper editors and get them Jews lined up over here. And where them Negroes at while we at it? So never forget that these are systems that are put into place, and industrious, sly, calculating individuals can turn these systems, they can overtake these systems and then use them against you. And that's what we're suffering in America right now. We want industriousness. We want commerce. We want people to come up with great ideas. We want these things. This enhances mankind's life. But what happens when the fellow who enhanced mankind's life sees himself as a little mini dictator? Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates. When you give folk that kind of power and money, what have you ever thought that guy might see himself as a little mini Napoleon? And not, I'm saying mini. A lot of them are like, oh, I'm way bigger than Napoleon. When you got these fellas, they want to go buy an island. What does that tell you? I want to be ruler of a whole geographic area. That's a microcosm. Whether it's Cecil Rhodes and Rhodesia, or Henry Ford and the failed Fordlandia. Damn! For those of you who've never looked up the history of Fordlandia, go take a look at your late 19th century / early 20th century oligarchs and industrialists. Yes, there's some folk in here never heard of Fordlandia. Some of you go to Google right now and go type it in, Fordlandia, Fordlandia, because you heard of Rhodesia, but Cecil Rhodes was not the only one who had that idea. A bunch of them did. And Henry Ford was at the top of that list. So yes, he had that thought idea too. You know what? I'm rich enough. I should have a government. Damn, fighting with America. Shouldn't I be running this? I've got much better ideas than Congress. So he was not the only one, folks. Not at all. Whether it was Brigham Young and the boys leaving New York and going to Utah, in the Mormon Church, Cecil Rhodes, Henry Ford, the Kellogg brothers. What? Oh, folks, you don't want me to sit here and do this all damn night. Go look up the history of the Kellogg brothers. While they felt that food was for cleanliness, they also were very interested in purifying the human race. Oh, I shouldn't get into that, y'all. Yes, they were also very concerned with purifying the human race. And by the way, Welch's jelly. Damn! Auntie, chill! No, folks, you don't want to start this. There's so much y'all don't know and people have not reminded you or told you and it's been lost to history. You go look up the start of these industrialists from the 20th century and you see all kinds of things. Cadillac, Ford, Welch's, Kellogg's, Post. These big corporations, and when you go check how they started in their history, they were very politically active. You think the corporations you got today were bad? That's the way they've always done it. They were very politically active. And a bunch of them were pursuing and promoting white supremacy, back when eugenics was not a dirty word. So you go and take a look at some of your favorite brands, anything that says it's been around since the 1800s. You go take a look into the history and the setup and the founders of pretty much anything that says it's been around since the 1920s. Anything that's been around for a century, go ahead and do a Google search and check into them and see what they really believed. Why do you need so much money? Why do you need that? You've got Disneyland, don't you?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
Yeah, I'm going there. You got Disneyland. What? That's not enough? No, I need Disney World. What are you trying to do? What is Disney World going to give you that Disneyland didn't? Well, they're going to give me an entire city in Florida. That sounds like Fordlandia. When you all take a look at the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which is the proper name for what you call Disney World, for those of you who did not know, if you don't, go look up the history of go take a look what the law in Florida set up for the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which is Disney World's proper name. Its proper name is not Disney World. Its actual name is the Reedy Creek Improvement District. It's not in Orlando. It's technically Lake Buena Vista. Although it's not actually in Lake Buena Vista, because there is a Lake Buena Vista, but it is, but it isn't, but it is, but it isn't. You see how confusing this gets? It is, but it isn't, but it is, but it isn't. Okay, but the Reedy Creek Improvement District gives them special abilities. Basically, they're a government unto themselves. Don't believe me. Anybody who's been on the freeway driving past Disney World, I have been, you see that the electrical transmission lines are shaped like Mickey Mouse's head.
Nigga, what?
Jason, you wildin' out. Don't believe me. My folks anybody who's driven past Disney World in Florida, in those areas out there on the freeway, you see the electrical transmission lines are shaped like Mickey Mouse's head. They're not just these big towers off the side of the road. They are shaped like Mickey Mouse's silhouette. Gigantic, and yeah, it's not enough that they got transmission lines. They want to let you know where you at. Welcome to Disney World. And of course, the real problem is that nobody ever reminds you all of what the centerpiece of Disney World is. Not was, what it is. What it was sold to the state of Florida in the first place to give them their special abilities of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Disney World was not supposed to be a theme park. At least that's not what they came to them with. They came to them with something called Epcot. Well, that name sounds familiar because anybody who's been to Disney World knows of Epcot Center. They just keep calling it Epcot Center. Epcot is an acronym. Nobody reminds you of what the acronym stands for anymore. They just say Epcot and you think that's somebody's name. No, it's not. Epcot stands for Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow. Oh, Walt Disney went to Florida to found his own city with its own laws, its own fire department, its own electrical grid, its own lake water structure, and its own laws. Go take a look at what happens if anybody dies at Disneyland.
Nigga, what?
You all need to go Google what happens if somebody dies at Disneyland. It's at Disney World. It's like being on a military base. The so-called civilian authorities are not who come to get you. That's not who comes to get you. You got to go through Disney's people first. So the first responders are Disney people. You're on Disney ground. Don't believe me? Look it up for yourselves. Jason might be lying. Jason might be exaggerating. Go and Google it and prove me wrong. So Disney was its own. I can't even say it was. It still is. That's why Bob Iger and them fight for it so damn hard today. That thing is a city unto itself. It's got things that their competitors simply don't have, with the sole exception of Universal Theme Park. But let's just be honest, they don't got it like Disney does. They don't got it like Disney. Disney is so damn gangster. For those of you who don't know, remember, the Reedy Creek Improvement District cannot be a city unless it has citizens. Disney does have citizens.
Nigga, what?
Yeah, well, he's over here looking at me crazy, y'all. Disney has citizens. Jason, citizens of a theme park. Didn't I just tell you that it's not a theme park? Didn't I just tell you Walt Disney did not go to them for a theme park? They just had to accept that it's a theme park later. That is not what he went to them for. The Reedy Creek Improvement District is a municipality, and that municipality has residents. Don't believe me? For those of you, my folks in Florida, you should know there's a reservation out there that has mobile homes on it.
What? Auntie, what?
There's a reservation out there that has mobile homes on it. You can see it on Google Maps with the overview. There's a reservation out there that has mobile homes on it. As a matter of fact, it's gated. It's got guards there for the actual residents of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Don't believe me, folks. This is not journalism. I'm not sitting up here with spies running around. This is all public record. Nothing I'm saying right now is just some great thing I hacked into somebody's computer and found out. This is all public record, people. Everybody in the Reedy Creek Improvement District, Walt Disney World, knows it. The Florida legislature knows it. It's in the law. Everyone knows it. You all just don't talk about anything but the damn stuff. So you don't really know what Disney World actually is. But the government of Florida knows what it is. And the requirement is that if you're going to have this special tax consideration, which is what Reedy Creek is, you got to have residents. You can't be a municipality and have no residents. Otherwise, you're a big theme park. You need to be taxed and regulated like a theme park. So if nobody lives at Six Flags, that's why they get regulated the way they do. Oh, wait a minute. We're an experimental city. Oh, okay, well, we got to treat you different. Here are our residents. Now, they can't build houses, and they have 100-year leases.
What? What? Damn!
Well, Jason, who lives there? Filthy rich people. Oh, some of the richest folk on the planet live at Disney World, y'all. They're residents of Disney World. Do not believe me. I could be lying to you. You know I'm not making this up. Go Google it, people. Filthy rich folk are the ones who actually are living in them trailers and living in the domiciles out there at Disney World because they've always dreamed of being there. They're Walt Disney adults, not Disney kids. They're Disney adults. So yes, you got damn rich folk who are like, I have a house at Disney World, and Disney World loves it because they're rich. You know how rich folk are. They got 7 or 8 houses around the world. He ain't going to be here often. He only shows up once during the damn summer. They don't cause any trouble. And by the way, just like a bunch of places in Asia, it's a 100-year lease. They don't actually own it. It's a 100-year lease. But they are residents. You say they have to be residents? Well, they are. I could keep going, people. We can keep. I could literally keep going for a while. After all, what do you think Elon Musk is trying to do?
Nigga, what?
By the way, in case you all didn't notice, what do you think Elon's trying to do? These gargantuan things he keeps buying, what do you think that's about? Okay. So, folks, this is not new. This is not new at all. Oligarchy has been this way. The industrialists have been this way. When they get tons and tons of money, you think things are going to get super clean. It's never been that way. If they're doing that, that's because they want to control everything. And they don't want the government getting in their way. And every corporation that has grown to mammoth size, that's what they do. Apple, Microsoft, Ford, GM, GE, Kellogg. We can just go down the list. They didn't get these corporations just to get big. They got them because they want autocratic control. Amazon. There's nobody on the outside. They are all the same. People die at Amazon every year. People die in the Amazon fulfillment centers every year, people. Richest man in the world, his plastic wife got a big old diamond ring on her hands, and we don't have air conditioning working at some of the fulfillment centers. Richest man in the world, he could sit up here and pay for air conditioning for all of America with what he paid for his wife's ring, and you don't have it at some of your fulfillment centers. The AC ain't working sometimes, and folk are dying up in there, and that's not new. They're showing you what they think. Now, what does he want that for? What does Jeff Bezos need all that money for? If you're a deficient geek who doesn't want to be that way anymore, how much would you pay to have status? Hey, look, they all love me. Look, they're all lined up here. They all came to Monaco. Look, all the stars are here. The movie stars are here for my wedding. Yeah, just like Oprah. Deficient individuals trying to purchase self-esteem. If you think it's expensive to buy a legislature or to buy a government, let me ask you, how much is buying self-esteem going to cost you? How much would it cost to buy some self-esteem and some self-respect? Now, if buying a government costs $500 million, I wonder what buying some self-esteem will cost me. Which one's going to be more expensive, folks? Buying a government or buying some self-esteem? What's the price tag for self-esteem going for nowadays? Do any of you know anybody who made enough money to feel good about themselves at their core? Have y'all ever met that dude? Because I haven't. I've never seen that fella. Mr. Deficient Inferiority Complex, no amount of money has ever fixed that. Jeff Bezos is trying. So yeah, how much does it cost to buy a government? Why does he need so much money? Do you see what he's doing? You know full damn well. You know what he's doing with that money. That was to purchase her respect for him. That was to purchase that. He goes to the gym. He starts working out. Yeah, he's trying to get built like her ex-husband and can't do it. That dude was an actual athlete. Jeff, you're never going to do that. Never. Well, I'll come close. Okay. I can pretend, can't I? I'm so rich, literally, I got security. Nobody who will tell me the truth about myself will be allowed within 50 miles of me. So he's surrounded by nothing but people telling him exactly what he wants to hear 24 hours a day. And he's too fragile to have anyone who would say otherwise. So, yeah, this is what oligarchs do. This is what oligarchs do right here. This is what aristocrats do right here. You know, they only get what they want. They buy all this other stuff here, and they shut up anybody who ain't saying what they want to hear. That's what $1 trillion will buy you.
I gotta ask, are the people who are buying these cities like Reedy Creek Improvement Development, is that the domestic version of getting these islands abroad? And are these people buying their self-esteem the same as those who are buying these?
Yes, I mean, that's why all of them got islands. John McAfee had one, Larry Ellison got one, Elon Musk, a lot of your Hollywood stars. What? There's a whole bunch of Hollywood stars got islands too, people. Jason, you're saying too damn much. Okay. Jeffrey's not the only one. There's a whole bunch of folk in Hollywood, actors, producers. They got islands of their own too. Okay. I'm sure they're radically different. I'm certain they are. I'm certain they're not all, Diddy, Oprah. Yeah, I'm certain they're all different. You find out Diddy got an island and then, oh hell. Yeah, folks, there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of them. I'm sure they're all radically different. I'm sure none of them are like these other folk, these disreputables we've been talking about. They're nothing like them. These are the good ones. The rest of these folk we're talking about, they're the bad ones. These are the good ones. Okay.
Thank you for that, sir. Be warm.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I know I blew some of y'all's minds tonight. You're like, whoa, is it that deep off in it? Dude, I could do an entire program about this, as you can tell. And this is why you have to have a black media here that is going to remind you, if you never heard of Rhodesia, if you never heard of Fordlandia, if you've never heard of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, if you don't know about the Kellogg brothers and your cornflakes, if you don't know about the Welch's Grape Jelly Company, if you don't actually know, you don't know about Disney, if you don't know what's really going on with these places where they really emanate from, all you do is turn on your TV, you turn on Netflix, you see a logo and then start laughing and cackling at whatever they show you next. And you don't know anything about these people and how they got here. Man, we could do an entire night just talking. Actually, to be totally honest, it'd have to be a mini series. But yeah. And by the way, and I'll sit right here and dare anybody to try to disprove me that it's not true. But you can go straight to Google and look up everything I said. You can go straight to Google and go take a look at the history of the Reedy Creek Improvement District and see exactly what it is. Take a look at what Epcot is, and then take a look at the bait and switch that it was, because in reality, it was a bait and switch. Walt Disney realized that Epcot was not a real thing and could not actually be a real thing, so he settled for what he actually could do. So Epcot and the Reedy Creek Improvement District became a bait and switch. It was supposed to be a special municipality. It never could be viable as doing that. That wasn't a real thing. And so they woke up one day and realized, I'll be damned, we have given a theme park its own special tax status. And Walt Disney said, yes, sir. So if you want to know how Disney got such a leg up to be such an industrial powerhouse in the world as it is today, now you understand why. And they're far from the only ones. Every time you see an automotive plant set up, they give it special tax status. Every time that you sit up here and see an automotive plant set up, they give it special tax status, people. Hell, in South Carolina, they just gave a couple of $1 billion to Scout Motors, and it's already underwater. What? By the way, while they're telling you and me about we don't want no DEI, but for these white folk here, and you should go take a look at the history of Scout Motors, as a matter of fact, yeah, man, they were sitting up here and They're already suffering. They gave them over $1 billion. And now they're complaining about it. After they did that right there, while they're sitting up telling us what they don't have and can't do and ain't got. Oh, let me go ahead and just kick the ballistics on that right quick here while I got time. I got time today. So let me go ahead and just throw that up on the screens because there'll be some folks hating, mad as they can be. I'm here to make you big mad. Let me go ahead and show that to you. We're not going to go real deep up into it today. We're not going to do that. All right, let me go ahead and throw this. We're going to toss it up for you right quick. Let me toss it up for you here right quick. And by the way, once again, these are things you all can go take a look into while they're telling you and me what they can't do and what we can't have and what they can't afford. And we don't want no DEI and we're not going to be giving out special treatment. We ain't going to do none of that. And meanwhile, oh, by the way, and you should all go take a look in the history of Scout Motors, by the way. While you're at it with everything else, do yourselves a favor and go look into the history of Scout Motors and how long it's actually been around and, well, why are they getting such preferential treatment after I thought we're in the non-preferential treatment era here. At least that's what you told us it was. And next thing you know, we found out it isn't. Let's toss this up on the screen for everybody right quick so they can see it for themselves. Just for the record and for posterity here. Because people watch this live or recorded and they'll be watching this years from now just to make sure that we covered everything. Because the internet is forever, well, at least till they get rid of it, it'll be. So anybody now or in the future will be able to go ahead and look this up for themselves and see exactly what it was we were talking about. While these people sit up here and try to lie to them there. So Katie Kaboom, there you go. There you go, everybody, right there. There you go, right there. Oh, man. And this was just as of January 30th, so a week ago. This is as of a week ago. And you take a look at that absolutely heinous headline. South Carolina gave $1.3 billion to Scout Motors. It's already $150 million over budget. This is as of a week ago. Now, for white men and their NFL stadiums and their car plants, everyone's telling you ain't no capitalism. Why? It's straight monarchy. There's no capitalism when these people are doing this right here. It's straight privilege. Yeah, we don't need no everybody needs to work. We don't need no DEI. And then you see they got DE White. The article says here that in March of 2023, Scout Motors announced it would spend $2 billion to build an electric vehicle factory in South Carolina. The company, a newly launched subsidiary of Volkswagen, would build electric trucks and SUVs. CEO Scott Coig said the company chose South Carolina because, quote, the state was ready to go. But it likely didn't hurt that state lawmakers agreed to provide Scout $1.29 billion in incentives, including $400 million for site preparation. You dirty, lying, scheming, white supremacist maggots. $400 million to prepare the site. So your tax dollars in Charleston, While they're telling black folk in Charleston what they ain't got and can't do and can't afford and you can't have, and you need to get your ass out there and work and just earn it for your damn self and quit trying to get a handout, Volkswagen shows up and they said, oh, you need a couple billion? We got you covered. Oh, a couple billion? Yeah, them niggas over there complaining about not getting a couple $100 a month. They just lazy. You? Oh, we got 1.29 billion for you. Oh, yeah, and the citizens won't get to vote on this. 3 years later, Scout has yet to build a single vehicle. What? They haven't built anything. It hopes to begin production in 2027, but South Carolina is already $150 million over budget on the project, and officials want state taxpayers to pick up the slack. Did you hear that? This week, the South Carolina Department of Commerce announced that 72 million of the $150 million overage stemmed from wetland mitigation costs. Commerce initially budgeted $50 million for mitigation efforts and has spent nearly $55 million on those activities, according to the Herald. That's in addition to the state's actual construction costs, which apparently have also grown. So in other words, they told you we're going to give them $1.3 billion, and in reality, it's already been over the whole damn time. But if you tell the state of South Carolina to give you $1 million so you can start your business, they're going to tell you, nigga, get your lazy ass up out of here. Oh, wait, y'all niggas always begging. Y'all always begging. Oh, what about this over here? Oh, they're good, hardworking white Germans. In his fiscal year 2027 budget proposal, Governor Henry McMaster, by the way, he's a piece of work, ain't he, requested an additional $50 million for, quote, inflationary construction costs at the Scout Motors site. Quote, I know that the inflation has gone up so much on all things that Department of Commerce has spent the money that they have, and they need more. McMaster said earlier this month, quote, costs went up. Contracting costs went up. We paid them. We agreed we will get the site prepared. Just like the money for wetlands mitigation, the extra funding will have to come from state taxpayers. Quote, we would not have the money to pay contractors for several years under our regular funding, South Carolina Secretary of Commerce Harry Lightsey told reporters this week. Cost overruns are perfectly routine on large projects, but those costs are for the companies to bear. If circumstances change, that's part of the gamble. Scout Motors, on the other hand, is benefiting from the largesse of South Carolina taxpayers, whom state officials decided should assume a portion of the risk. And it's not like Scout doesn't have the resources available. At the end of 2024, parent company Volkswagen reported over 40 billion euros in cash on hand. Volkswagen is saying we got $40 billion of cash in our pockets. And the state of South Carolina said, no, you too good to spend that. You hold on to that. We're going to get that from these niggas over here. And they better not whine about no reparations. Why does anybody owe you that? Then why do you owe Volkswagen a couple of $1 billion for their car plant? The folks telling you what you aren't owed are not telling Volkswagen, well, they shouldn't expect to be getting nothing free. Matter of fact, they're telling you they have a responsibility to pay that. Scout estimates that at full capacity, its new factory will be capable of building up to 200,000 vehicles annually, or roughly 40 vehicles an hour. But it's worth wondering how long it will take to ramp up to that level of demand, if ever, because the EV market is currently tanking. So, for those of you who did not know, every time they build a car plant, every time they build an NFL stadium, a theme park, all this stuff right here, white privilege kicks in. And you don't hear any of your white supremacists online. You don't hear any of these folks yelling and screaming about that. You don't hear Ron DeSantis talking about that either, by the way. And they don't allow folk to ask these questions, because those would be devastating sound bites for you to run into. So no, you don't get to ask those questions. They make sure you don't get close enough to be able to do that. So when y'all sit up here and talk stupid about y'all just want folk to give you stuff, excuse me, how many cities got new NFL stadiums, and all of those are being paid for by folk who can't even get in the building? The majority of the American population, contrary to the lame brains and numbskulls watching the Super Bowl today, the majority of the American population are not football fans, not football customers, and don't care about football games. And yet the state says, we don't care what you care about. This is our priority. Well, then, damn it, you can make what you owe us your priority too. You do this for white corporations and white oligarchs, white tycoons, white magnates. You do this every damn day. So when we show up, don't start talking stupid now. Where you going to get the money from for us? Where you got it from for Scout. You're going to get it there. Go back where you got it from for Scout and bring it on over here. We'll take it from there. And by the way, if they fail, which they probably will, are any of the folk who put this in place going to be held accountable? Because if you were black and you did this, they'd already be saying you got to get out of office, and they'd probably already try to find some way to say something illegal happened and you need to be arrested. They'll make up a law and say doing this was illegal and you'll be arrested. Welcome to the United States of white supremacy. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I know we've been on here for a while. I know we've been on here for a minute. Want to say shout out to everybody who's contributed for tonight's program here, to Miss Harrington. Thank you very much for your support tonight. Good to see you as always. To Sharima and everybody else, Zone, Fanfics, Zavon Scott. Thank you all very much for your support here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program live or recorded. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.